Button. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Automotive Podcast. It's starting with a new slate. Get it?
On this episode of Throwin Wrenches,
Slate is the rage. Do you know about this cheap EV truck?
General Motors recalls 500,000 vehicles and says it's not related to the other possible recall, maybe, they think.
100 episodes. What about 100 kids? It's time for a new Moment of Musk.
All that and more on this episode of Throwin Wrenches.
Ba-bam!
Here he
No Shania Twain in that intro.
No, but it was kind of fun the way that slipped into episode 100. And the ladies looked at us like, is this normal?
Is this what you always do? Yes, sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely it brought down the house on the last episode. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening. And we actually have a message this week, so I'm not going to get too crazy. But to join in the fun of the show, just email us at info@throwinwrenches.com or post a review on iTunes to be heard all around the world. But actually, Spotify has kind of stolen the thunder from iTunes.
Has it?
Yeah, Spotify comments are where it's at, Daryl.
Okay.
2 turntables and a microphone. That's not where it's at. It's Spotify.
Nice. So what did our latest Spotify commenter say? Was it good news or was it high praise? Or
Well, I think it was okay. David, a couple days ago, sent us a message, said, such a great accomplishment when he was speaking of episode 100. Congratulations on the success of that little automotive podcast. The girls brought an interesting side to the story from the to the table, literally. Long-time listener and look forward to the next 100.
Thanks, David.
Well, that will only be 6 years from now. Should we push another 100 out of this?
At our current pace. No, I mean, that's
2011.
That's good to hear. We've heard a couple comments too, including how it was good to get a couple of digs. The girls got some digs in on us. I don't think they were too rough.
No, actually, I think they were pretty tame.
It could have been a lot worse.
I really do feel like your wife was primed. She was ready to just like pounce, and she restrained herself. I don't know why.
Well, she might have had like 6 macchiatos in the car on the way over here. So maybe that's
not healthy, Daryl.
No, probably not. Better than Monster.
Hey, if it's your first time listening, you may not know about my co-host, Daryl Scott. Do you know Daryl Scott? Some people go to Europe for the history, the culture, the food. Actually, that's what most people do, unless you're a Scot. Then you might road trip to Terre Haute to see the Masked Singer traveling show. Okay, that's a bit of exaggeration. But those Scots, they'll pass by all the culture of the old world just to hear some amazing Eurovision music. That's what the kids are all going nuts for.
Terre Haute. Sounds French.
You can go further than Terre Haute, I'm sure.
I don't know.
Do you watch The Masked Singer? Is that a thing?
Never.
Never?
I know it exists. But
okay, all right. I mean, it seems like something you and Sarah might watch.
We'll pre-show it next time.
Okay.
All right. For those of you who don't know my co-host, when people think of volcanoes, salt-cured fish, and pop singers with funny hair, they think of the same place that this co-host is soon heading to. I hear Iceland also has cool 4x4s on monster truck tires that you can drive over lava with if you drive quickly enough. He's the biggest Bjork fan this side of the Atlantic. He's Eric Stahl.
Thank you.
Do you like Bjork?
I do like Bjork. I
celebrate her entire catalog?
No, I don't celebrate the entire catalog.
Okay, right.
I think Vespertine was her high water mark. And, it's a great album.
Good reference.
Yeah, if you know the album?
Yeah, very very familiar.
It's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, we could talk about that maybe in projects coming up. It's because it's Toyota related, and I think it's one of those things that people maybe don't understand about the automotive business and maybe some of the perks. But yeah, I'm going to be going to Iceland here in a couple of weeks.
Heck yes.
Yeah, and so let's revel in that, right?
I'd love to hear. We'll hear more about it, and I'm sure we'll hear all about it. And follow you on Instagram with your cool pics. You always take on vacation because you always have pretty good eye for.
And I always take vacations.
Yeah. Well, that's these are your words, not mine.
Don't use them against me later. Okay. Right. Do you know about our sponsor? Speaking of Toyota,
I do.
For 100, well, maybe nearly 100 episodes, Fort's Toyota Pekin has been with Throwin Wrenches. You can find Fort's Toyota and all the social media sites at Fort's Toyota or at Toyota Pekin. I did find the other day that I'd been saying it wrong. But anyway, a couple different places. But they're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. They're on TikTok.
How about ye olde internet?
Yeah, I think www.toyota-pekin.com will show you a picture that's 10 years old of Eric Stahl in the service department.
Really?
Yes, it is.
I thought you were like one of those modern-day social media influencer types.
Yeah, it's a little dated.
Is it?
My beard is my little chin stash is brown.
Do you
That's how
do you have
old
like
it
a
is.
George Clooney Caesar haircut from the early 2000s?
A little hair helmet. Yeah. No, I don't have that. Anyway, if you don't want to just check out pictures of me on Fort's Toyota's website, you can certainly check out their new and used cars. Great inventory right now.
Yeah.
It's been really bizarre, the stuff that's coming in. So I think it's the end of the model year, or maybe the new model year. I can't even explain. The new 4Runners, they were all pre-sold. Now we have one sitting on the lot. That's great.
Okay.
Priuses have been pre-sold a lot. Now we have a couple of Priuses on the lot.
You still got one of them GR Corollas?
On the showroom floor.
Those are cool.
With the carbon fiber top and everything. So anyway, great inventory right now. If you're looking for something new or used, make sure you stop in there to the website or stop into the store. And if you want to say hi to me, I'm back in service all day long.
And we'd also like to say a quick thank you to another sponsor. We'll call them a sponsor because they sing our praises once in a while, and they put out a really good product. If you're on the Instagram, if you're on the gram, ladies and germs, you can actually follow at Paper Maps and Coffee. It's our good friends of the show, Ryan and Andrea, that always like to take adventures on two-lane blacktop, back road America, and see some cool roadside attractions, and they appreciate a really good road trip. And they got some planned this summer. So at Paper Maps and Coffee on Instagram, give them a follow. They're good people. Doggone it.
Doggone it. Yeah, when I heard about this Instagram account, I'm like, oh, these are my people. So we talked a lot on the pre-show, because the pre-show is where all the Patreon people hang out, all the cool dudes and gals and in-betweens. They all listen to the Patreon pre-show. And iTunes Premium also. You can listen to the pre-show. The pre-show is 1 hour of maybe not necessarily car talk. We did throw a news article in there today.
We did. We kept it topical.
We didn't talk about Bjork, but we did talk about some music, I think. And we talked about AI DJs. You never know what's going to happen on the pre-show.
No, not at all.
It's
but
lightly scripted.
You can actually join the pre-show party. We'll have a link on our on the post at throwinwrenches.com to how you can get into our Patreon, or you can probably even search us up.
Yeah, Patreon. You can, and also on iTunes Premium. If you ever just want to buy one episode of pre-show, just hook it up right there, like $2.99. Boom, you got it, and it supports the show. We appreciate it so much. Thank you so much.
All right.
Well, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for reviewing. We appreciate it all. The first step. Part of the show, as always, Daryl, it's projects.
We got some stuff in the hopper. You've actually taken a couple little trips,
as usual,
involving vehicles and off-road fun.
Maybe, but you know what? It's funny. It's May 7th?
Yeah.
And it's still getting down to like 40 degrees at night.
It's 48 the other day. I woke up and I think it was for Cars and Coffee. Cars and Coffee kicked off or whatever. And
well, I went to the one in April. I didn't even go to the one here in May.
Well, I had to run the heater because it was 40-some degrees, and I'm like, I'm kind of regretting I didn't bring a jacket. And Sarah went, and we just shivered, but it's fine. So you actually went further north.
Further south. No, I went to More EXPO. It was down in Springfield, Missouri.
Oh, okay. I thought this was the one in Michigan. Sorry.
No, so back up. I went to More EXPO last year, and that's where I ran into the folks from Northology, and it kind of baited us into going up to the Keweenaw Peninsula this summer when Jake and I and all those guys went up there.
Yeah.
So went back to More EXPO this year. It was so funny. More EXPO, it stands for Midwest Off-Road and Overland Expo, and it's just a ton of 4x4 trucks, and it's overlanders, it's Jeep people, it's tire manufacturers, it's all the stuff you need when you're going out traveling on the backwoods or doing overland travel. So just tons of cool stuff. Last year, we went there with our IceCo fridge, and I got the engineer from IceCo, who's from China, was there, and he's like, "Oh my God, that model's still running. It's a 5-year-old fridge,
and it is a damn fine fridge.
It's a great fridge. So
I've had 29-degree Pellegrino slushies out of that thing.
Yeah, so. And this year I was like fixated. I'm like, you know what I want? I love my IceCo fridge, but this year I want to go back to the IceCo booth, and I want to get one of their smaller coolers, like a car cooler, and they're pretty reasonable in price, but they're nicely equipped so that they actually have a nice exterior look. I would say, what do you say when it's pleasant to look at?
Aesthetically pleasing.
Aesthetically pleasing.
It's like a Yeti, but better.
Yeah, it's not like that industrial thing that I towed around in my 4Runner. So I'm like, I'm going to get one of these for the Prius. Go to Chicago. I get some, I get some ingredients from my cacio e pepe or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
I want to make sure that my cheese,
Your pecorino stays at the proper temperature.
Exactly. I'm not going to melt in the back of my Prius window. So I'm going to get a little 20-liter fridge. And last year, they were giving stuff away at the end of the show. If you waited till the last day of the More Expo, and this is not just IceCo, this is every vendor that's there. You could pretty much walk up and be like, hey, what can I get this for? What can I get this for? And people are like hucking it at you. And you're like, all right, good deal.
Pretty cool.
That did not happen this year. So the looming tariffs on the horizon, of course, a lot of stuff that's like overlanding stuff, whether it's fridges, whether it's knife sets, whether it's, off-road lighting and stuff like that. This stuff's all made overseas. It's not made in the United States. So every manufacturer was there knew with the impending tariffs coming that if you didn't buy it now, the price was likely going up. So I literally walked over to the IceCo booth. They were already sold out, and they were selling everything at retail price. And if you wanted to buy more, they'd have it drop shipped to your house. So I still bought my 20-liter cooler, but I did not get the satisfaction of firing it up and putting it in my truck on the way home.
Yeah,
I had to have it drop shipped to the house, and I paid full price for it. So
that's all right.
Yeah, it is.
You get a lot of use out of that.
Yeah, no, totally thrilled. I mean, it does seem obnoxious for me to have 2 portable refrigerators now.
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, you've got 2 fridges in your house.
I got 3.
You got 3. You got a freezer. I mean, you're just a model American.
No, honestly, a smaller one just to take in the car. Dude, our big one, my 35 or 40 liter, whatever.
Yeah.
I can't put that in the Prius. It literally consumes so much space.
It's no room for luggage.
No, it's good for the 4Runner. So Angela and I bought this together, with purpose. So it was fun. But getting back to the point of More is a great event if you are interested in the hobby and you want to surround yourself with like-minded people. I will say, this year, Ange and I went down, and we didn't know anybody there. Cindy and the folks from Northology were there, but we didn't camp out in that area. And so we just kind of, Ange and I did our thing, had a great time, had a great trip. We kind of meandered down, hit some sites, did the back roads, kind of like your friends over there at the Paper Maps and Coffee. And entertained our way back. But we just kind of chilled out at the campsite, sat in our lawn chairs. I made instant coffee off the tailgate.
Weather held out?
Dude, it was 50 degrees at night, and just turned the fan on in the RV I was in. Yeah. So I took a Tacoma. I took a 2015. No, it's older than that.
Oh, the one with the hard-sided or the aluminum camper on the top?
Yeah, pop-up topper. Yeah. It had a nice big bed in it and everything. Just slept wonderfully in it. Actually, fuel economy was better in that than the one I drive with the AT Overland topper. It's like that wedge topper on the AT Overland just scoops up so much air, whereas this one's a little more aerodynamic. So I actually got better fuel economy with a bigger, heavier topper camper.
And you were more comfortable.
Yeah, right? So I'm like, no brainer. Yeah. But no, we had a great time, and I think it would be even better if you went with multiple people. So if you go down there as a group and you want to camp, that's the way to do it. If you want any tips or you have any questions about it, certainly reach out to me. The folks, find me somebody who's a 4-wheeler or an off-roader or an overlander who's hard to talk to. Because you can walk up to anybody and they're going to talk about their rig. They're going to talk about where they've been. This is why we put stickers on the side of our truck so we can kind of share the adventure and we can talk about stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Ange and I, we walked around the campsite and just kind of visited with people and talked to people. Ran into some guys who'd gone coast to coast, east to west, and then top to bottom, Mexico to Canada, through the Rocky Mountains and stuff. Just interesting people all around. So it was fun.
And they move around throughout the year, right? As far as where the More Expo is every year?
No, you're thinking of Overland Expo. That one is sometimes Salt Lake City and I think in North Carolina.
It travels.
A little bit. I think it's migrated over the years. But
okay.
No, this is a fairly new expo. And I'll be honest with you, it was smaller than last year. I think the hobby, just like we saw with COVID, it boomed during COVID. They retracted. There was a whole convention area that was not filled with some stuff that there was last year.
Yeah.
So I wonder what the future holds for some of this stuff. But
might not be shrinking, but evolving, changing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's certainly people still interested in the hobby.
Oh yeah. Well, and it does seem like it's. I mean, from a marketing perspective, they're all great add-on sales for an SUV or a truck you buy, but it's the lifestyle. You're selling the lifestyle and giving people that opportunity to get out and do pretty much anything they want, wherever they want.
Yeah.
And that's awesome, the freedom. It's still, I want to actually go outside, take a hike, do, kayak, fish, and all that stuff.
Yes.
But I never want to be that far away from it.
Yes.
I'm not going to check into an Airbnb. I feel like Airbnbs are almost kind of like on the way out.
God, I hope so. I really do hope so.
So many horror stories about that. I'm like, tell you what, why don't you either rent an RV or like get a tent, go camping, and kind of do it old school, because I think that's what people want. They don't want the cabin on the lake. They want to like camp right on the lake. I think that's what, I don't know. Hopefully that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that it might take away from like somebody who has $1 million buying like 3 premium properties and just using them as hotels.
Yeah.
And somebody could be actually enjoying that property as a lifestyle choice, where they want to live, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. But, so anyway, more is a great event. The folks at Northology, Cindy, I love them all to death. And, just follow along with Northology. They've got a big event going on in Idaho this year in June. She wanted me to go to that. I'm going to Salt Lake City in June. I can't do.
You can't swing by there?
I can't do everything I want to do.
You're going to be in that part of the country.
I know.
Why don't you just do it?
I mean, I looked it up. It's only 8 hours away. But seriously, if I could do all the stuff I want to do, just follow along with people like Cindy at Northology. There's countless Instagram accounts, obviously, that do stuff like that. They also have a big event going on in Kansas later this summer. The one thing that was a takeaway from EXPO this year, though, there was a new 4Runner, a 6th-gen 4Runner that CBI had completely pimped out. I mean, it had the Prinsu roof rack. It had all the mole racks on the inside and outside glass just filled with stuff. A lift, bigger tires. I'm
looking at a picture right now. I'm pulling it up.
Okay, so my thing is, and I was talking to Mr. Fort the other day, we have the new Land Cruiser came out. We have the new 4Runner that came out. And, of course, I've been driving a 5th-gen 4Runner Tree Hugger 3. It's a 2016 TRD Pro. It's a brilliant truck. It's in the cement color. I love that truck. And, to be fair, I've kept that thing off the trails for the most part. I've never really trail rashed it like I did Tree Hugger 1.
Yeah.
Tree Hugger 1 still goes down to Arkansas. Tree Hugger 3 does not go to Arkansas. It's not going to get beat up the same way.
Not in the same same manner.
But, the conversation becomes, if you're going to do a new trail truck, and a trail truck is for advertising. If you go to Cars and Coffee, if you go to Friday Night Lights, and you have a vehicle like this, you're showing off the stuff we can do at the dealership, the features you can get built at the dealership. What can we do? Right. So do you do it on a Land Cruiser, or do you do it on a 4Runner? And I think kind of where we've landed is the Land Cruiser customer is not the person who's probably going to do a lot of updating, and it's. I hate to say this. I'm not target. No. If you're a Land Cruiser customer, God bless you. Because I think it's an awesome truck, and with the 4-cylinder with the hybrid drive, it's got the torque. It's just a better truck on the trail. But realistically, the people buying those are a little bit older, and it's more of a luxury vehicle, and they're not putting all this stuff on them. The 4Runner customers, I think, are still going to be the people that still modify them. So I am leaning towards the next iteration of Tree Hugger being a new 4Runner.
So the CBI 4Runner, was it the orange one?
No, it's actually blue.
Blue, okay. I'm looking at their Instagram right now. It's not on their website, but all of their builds are phenomenal. And they actually have, it looks like, they've even built out a Lexus, one of these dealers. Oh, and a new Tacoma. Okay. So I'm going to go through, if anybody wants to, CBI Off-Road is their Instagram account. Check out some of their builds and some of their...
Well, and so what happens is CBI sponsored that spot, but the guy reached out to me with a 4Runner, and I followed him on Instagram. I'll tag him in this so you can follow along as well. But he is an independent person who took his 4Runner, and CBI sent a bunch of stuff, and then, of course, then he puts it there on display for the weekend. So CBI also owns Prinsu. Prinsu does a lot of racks and all kinds of stuff too. So
nice accessories for the at any need you might have.
Yeah. And then last but not least, again, Eric Stahl is going to consume the project section because that's what he does. He's like a vacuum of his narcissism.
No, you've been at it.
I want a trip with Toyota to Iceland. We alluded to that in the intro. I had a friend of mine the other day who said, "Well, I'm going to get a job at Goodyear, and I'm going to do this, blah, blah." I'm like, okay, that's great. I realize there's like upward momentum if you go to bigger companies, you go to Costco, if you do whatever. I'm in retail, so all retail is retail, right? But Toyota, over the years I've worked for them, I've gone to Alaska, did the Bourbon Trail last year.
That's right, I forgot.
I went to wherever that fancy place was in Colorado, and this year I'm going to Iceland, they have a contest and they say, oh, you just do whatever and blah, blah. And trust me, folks, I'm not bending over backwards to win these contests. I just do my job every day. And if it works out, it works out.
It's recognition. It's recognition for doing your job well. And you should be proud of that. Yeah. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. So,
and so is Toyota.
With very little notice, I got notification that I won a contest to go to Iceland here in May. And so, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Angela's come with me, and we're going to have 4 days, 3 nights, and we're going to make the most of those. It's not a big country. I don't feel like I need a week in Iceland. I think maybe I'll wish I had a 5th day when it's all over. But
all right, so when you first told me that the news, you're like, I really want to see the volcanoes. I want to drive on lava.
That's what I want to do.
And so being a Midwestern, kind of a, I'd just say rather tame, risk averse type of guy. When you start talking about, I want to drive on the volcanoes and. And I remember the big volcano that shut down air travel globally. I can't say the name, but yeah, Curtain or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. You can Google it. The first thing you said though is that's what you wanted to go see. Mm-hmm. I know you can drive on some of these things. You can actually park and see actual molten lava. I mean, they probably won't let you get super close to it, but close enough.
Yeah, some of them you get real close to.
Are you going to be doing that?
I don't think so. And as a matter of fact, the hardest thing to kind of figure out is what's actually active as you're there. I think sometimes you luck out.
Is there a volcano calendar?
There are websites that are dedicated to it. So as we get closer to the date, I'll kind of start figuring out what's active.
That's awesome.
I mean, part of me, I mean, years ago we went to St. Lucia, and I was like, because I wanted to go to Hawaii. And I'm like, I don't want to go to Hawaii because I want to spend $1 billion taking the family there, but I wanted to go to a beach. I want to go to a volcano. I want to do all that stuff. Well, St. Lucia has an active volcano-ish, island. Yeah. And so we still did some of that stuff, but I've never seen molten lava coming out of the ground. And there's just something primal. I mean, dude, you want to talk about your existence meaning nothing? The earth is belching out liquid rock and metal.
Yeah. You're supposed to be okay with it.
And you want to pretend that anything in your existence means anything because it doesn't. You know, when the guys when everything goes off at Yellowstone, everything you built here in the Midwest won't mean anything. Now that might be 1,000 years from now,
but it's coming.
It's coming.
It's kind of like what being here in the Midwest, the New Madrid fault line. Where it goes, man. Yeah, we're all going. Yeah. We're all going to the core of the earth. You're like, maybe not. But maybe.
It's something. It's literally like black and white. It is just. It is. It is what it is. It's screaming with terror. It is the universe, inflicting harm on everything around it. It's the coolest thing. It's not something you can have much presence to. So I'm hoping. Don't even. I may get back from Iceland and be like, yeah, we got there. It was just some steam. That's fine.
How was Iceland? It was okay.
Yeah,
it was fine. It was fine.
I didn't see a volcano. I mean, I
wasn't Terre Haute.
I would like to see raging red lava at some point in my life. If I see that, that's great. But if I don't, I don't. So whatever.
I don't know. You can just watch a movie. Let me ask you this too. So 4 days, 3 nights. Yeah. When do you fly? Late May, early June?
May 20th.
May 20th. Yeah. Okay. Is there a volcano season?
I don't know.
There's other stuff to do there too.
Well, like the Blue Lagoon is shut off right now, or it was shut off a month ago because that lava flow was getting so close to it.
Dangerously close.
Yeah, and so one of the things I read, we watch countless YouTube videos. This is what we did when we went to Mexico. So every time I go anywhere, when I go to Italy, even though I've been to Rome 3 times now, I still find myself watching countless videos just to kind of to know everything around me. And so one of the videos we saw that day was about Reykjavik and the Blue Lagoon. The Blue Lagoon's very close to the airport, and of the 1 million people that show up in Iceland every year, 60% of them go to the Blue Lagoon. So numbers like that just kind of tell you how terribly filled with tourists it is. So that's the kind of thing I don't want to do.
You don't want to do the touristy thing?
No, I'm not. That's not my shtick.
I'm Googling right now while you're talking. I'm paying attention to you.
Okay, all right.
But I just Googled famous Icelanders. Oh. And it just served up famous people from Ireland. So actually, no. Hold on. There is a Wikipedia article. And besides, of course, Bjork being the singer, which we all know.
Not everybody, but
I mean,
those of us who are cultured.
Anybody with a swan dress in their closet. Magnus Vermagnusson.
Oh, is he the weightlifter guy?
He the strongest world. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy, they used to lift cars up, like they had like shoulder straps and they had like Fiats around them and they'd like walk around.
The kind of guy you'd want to just be friends with.
Yeah. Well, you definitely don't want to be his enemy.
No, exactly. He's from there. Oh, no. Hold on. I clicked into it. It's Magnus Magnuson, the producer and playwright.
Oh.
Not the same guy. So there's two Magnus Magnusons.
Okay. I think it was Magnus von Magnuson was the weightlifter.
We'll see.
Easy mistake.
When you go there, make sure you bring a pen and pad of paper because you're going to get a lot of autographs from famous Icelanders.
You think so?
Yes.
Yeah, I got about 50 pins in my Google map. One of them's a cinnamon roll. The rest of them are like...
Wait, there's like a cinnamon roll place?
Yeah. There's some homemade cinnamon rolls.
Is it called Cinnabon, Eric?
No, it's not.
Okay. It's not at the airport?
No. Remember there was a story like a couple years ago where the EU was going to go into Denmark and tell them they ate too much cinnamon or something like that?
Oh, like recommended or something?
Yeah, it was beyond the recommend. And so I think because Iceland has some of that Danish culture, I'm hoping to get a hold of one of these cinnamon rolls that maybe is near toxic levels.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
They just have like a cinnamon roll the size of a 4Runner tire.
Oh no, it could be condensed. I mean, it'd be maybe micro small, like a little swirl roll, but just so chock full of cinnamon that it's like
it's too much.
It's like all of my mouth sucks up like Tom and Jerry cartoon, right? It's like
it's gone. Oh, that would be great. No, I wish you guys a lot of luck with that trip. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And it's one place you probably wouldn't have ever put on your map of...
Oh, Angela's been wanting to go for a long time.
Oh, really?
I just never want to spend the money on it, so...
It's probably expensive.
It is expensive. It's stupid. So everything's expensive there. Every video I ever watch is like, go to the grocery store, get food at the grocery store, snack on that, don't trust anybody at a restaurant,
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I don't know. There's only so many ways you can do...
I'm the frugal traveler, so trust me. You'll
figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get a styrofoam cooler at the grocery store, get a rental car, and just head out. So
nice.
It'll all be good. So anyway, that's enough about me. But what I did want to celebrate in that is that's just another example of what a great company Toyota is. So I've been with Toyota since 1996. I left for a couple of years, but over the years, I've had some great adventures with Toyota, and certainly with my business meetings and stuff like that. So when people give me crap, they're like, "Oh, it must be nice, must be nice." I'm like, I work in retail. I work for a great company, and you know what? I can't complain. There's some reasons why you don't leave a great company like that. When I talk about the golden handcuffs or the velvet handcuffs, those kind of perks are what keep employees engaged, right?
Absolutely. That's not every day that you have that opportunity. And again, not to, I don't want to make you blush, but like it's rewarding, successful, whatever you're doing is working because you're getting recognized for it. Take advantage of it, enjoy it, take the win, and get a cinnamon roll.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm going to do like a high five in the air because as I'm flying, and I'm flying back, I'm going to catch you guys going to England, right?
Yeah, coming back. Well, yeah, pretty much. We're actually probably going to be coming back around the same time. Yeah, we're doing a little whirlwind tour of Europe ourselves. So if anybody wants to mow our lawn while we're out of town, feel free because I can't get a lawn service to do it.
No.
But no, seriously, no, we're actually going to go to Eurovision 2025, which is in Basel, Switzerland.
This is not your first time there.
No, we're seasoned travelers at this point. But no, we're going to go over there and check that out with brother-in-law and enjoy all that has to offer and spend some time with family overseas. So it'll be a good time. I'm sweating it a little bit just because I don't know. Like the first time I traveled, I'd never really left the country. I've been to Canada. I've got family in Canada, and that's like another state. But Tim Hortons.
It's not truly traveling. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's like Wisconsin with like a border guard.
better donuts. No, so like the last, the trip over to Liverpool and the rest of England that we spent in 2023 was a great time. It was a great eye-opening experience. Saw a lot of cool things. What's really two amazing car museums there, the Bewley and of course the British Motor Museum. The Jaguar collection there was phenomenal. And so we're doing a little bit of that again this time. So we're actually going to go. I'm going to take a day trip with my brother-in-law to the Autostadt, the Volkswagen Autostadt in Wolfsburg, and they've got a really cool museum there and a kind of historical collection of.
If there's a triple black Wolfsburg edition Golf sitting there, take a picture for me. Will you?
Okay, I'll snap a few. There's some stuff. I definitely want to see some vintage Audis and Porsches and all that fun stuff. And actually, where we're staying in Mulhouse, France, there's a national automobile museum there.
Sweet.
So it's got like a lot of old Bugattis and Citroens and kind of oddball French stuff. So I think you'd appreciate that as well. So also, if you're looking to not go overseas but still take in a lot of weird stuff from France, this summer, I think it started early May or maybe in April, and I believe it runs through July 27th down at the St. Louis St. Louis Art Museum. I'm so bad. Sarah's going to kill me. She's like, we've been there several times. Whatever it is, it's an art museum in St. Louis, kind of near that Forest Park campus. Okay. They have it's all Art Deco and like France-inspired clothes, automobiles, things like Delahayes and Talbots and Citroens from like the 20s and 30s.
The way you pronounce them makes I won't even argue with the way you.
I'm not.
You enunciate. I assume you got it nailed.
It's like Citroën. I'm not. I don't speak French. I speak Spanish.
Have you been watching a lot of Emily in Paris?
Emily or Amelie.
Amelie.
No, I've seen Amelie. I own that DVD, but I have not seen.
No,
Emily
not
in Paris.
Amelie with the A. No, Emily in Paris. It's. I think it's on Netflix. We watched it.
Who's in it?
Emily. I don't know.
Someone named Emily. I don't know. She's in Paris or something.
Yeah, she is.
What is the title?
Listen. When it's the middle of winter and you're looking for a show that you and your wife can watch together, this is that one. That one hit the target for 2 months maybe. So
yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
I'll check that out. No, not much here stateside, I'll say. I did take the 55 Plymouth out on kind of a maiden voyage this season. Took a nice little tour with our antique car club to Pontiac, Illinois. Saw some museums and did some
the Pontiac Museum, or did it move?
No, so I think they're going to keep them both.
Oh, okay.
They're moving some of the stuff there from the collection into a Pontiac, Michigan museum where they're building a brand new one. But this one still has some really cool stuff, nice cars, really good collection of historical archives. So anyone restoring, like an old GTO or a Trans Am or something, they've got tons of really cool literature there that you might want to look through. We had a really nice private tour too, so we got to see a lot more of the private collections, including like 30,000 oil cans from like the teens until now, which seems like it's one of those things where you look at that, you're like, okay, my collecting isn't weird. Like the basement of that place is just filled with so much weird stuff. Ran
but great. How many guys like unload stuff? Like, you know what? I'm emptying out my stuff. My parents or my kids say I got to get rid of my stuff. I got all these oil cans. So you start becoming the default collector of this stuff. Does that happen?
Probably. I've had a little bit of that. Thankfully, I've been able to rehome it rather quickly or sell it. But yeah, that happens a lot. Hey, you want every back issue of Road and Track from 1967 to today? Sure. Because you can't throw it out. I'll go ahead and do that for you.
Exactly.
There's no secondary or tertiary market for like some of that, but
but they don't go for a whole lot.
No, not anymore. Nobody reads anymore. No. The other project I've been working on, and you can see based on the battle scars on my hand. Yeah. The dash lights in the Fury, the 70 Plymouth Fury 3 convertible.
Yeah.
Almost everything works on that car. Almost. And including like the radio, clear as a bell, sounds great. I've got all the little
8-track.
No, it's just a little 2-watt AM.
Okay,
but I put it on WOAM, and it's basically just plays old 70s music now, which is great. But I got like the little indicator bulbs, all the little turn signal, side marker stuff. I got all the things working except the dash lights, and it always bothers me. I actually drove it back from Morton the other night, and the car ran great. And I'm like, man, I really wish I could see how fast I was going. But maybe I didn't want to. So I got home, and I'm like, you know what? This is easy. I can take care of this. And I got a friend of mine who is pretty knowledgeable with these cars. He goes, hey, he's like, I'll sell you one of these the dimmer switches for the dash. He goes, the rheostat usually goes bad, or the contacts get worn. He goes, I bet you that's what it is. I got a good one. I'll sell it to you cheap. Swap that in. Well, you can't swap it in without basically tearing the whole dash apart.
Which has a bunch of metal clips, probably. You have to unfasten metal screws, and then you pull out the metal clips.
It was bad. Yeah. And I got big, chunky hands.
Yeah.
So I got in there.
Sausage fingers.
It was so bad. It was so... And the dash, the metal base, the shell of the dash is thin, sharp.
Oh, yeah.
Sheet metal. And I sliced the heck out of my hands.
So the fascia on that dash, is it just... plastic veneer on top of the metal, or is it?
Half of it is, yeah. Half of it is, and it's brittle, old.
And that's fragile.
Yeah. So anytime you move it, It's kind of like anybody who does interior like speakers or they swap head units. They're like, the newer cars, you have so much.
They're so much easier.
So much easier. The stuff pops off. There's a clip.
Yeah.
This stuff here, if it pops off on 3 things, and then you got to go behind and like take a clip off here. This is held on with a screw, or this is actually like, dude, the dash lights are riveted. The bulbs are riveted to a thin metal strip that is also the ground that is grounded by screws that hold it to the dash.
Oh my God.
And I think the bulbs are out, but I'm like, I'm not going to know until I drill these stupid rivets out. Yeah. So I tore the whole thing apart. Sarah had to come out and talk me off a ledge because I walked away from that car 3 times because I'm like, I'm going to do something bad. So I walked down like the 3rd time. She's like, "Do you need help? Do you need my help?" I was like, "Yes, please." So she actually got in and got the dimmer switch swapped out. I love you, Sarah. Plugged everything back in. Everything works except the dash lights. Still with the new switch. So I texted him, and I wasn't going to be that guy. Like, "Hey, buddy, you sold me a bad part," because I paid like $20 for it. And he's like, "Did you plug everything back in the right way?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "What's the deal?" And I sent him pictures. And I texted him. I'm like, "These stupid lights are riveted." He goes, "No, you can just get this little rubber plug and pop it off with a flathead and the bulbs come right out." Have you tested the bulbs? And I was like, "No, I thought they were riveted into the housing." So I have more work to do, but that's going to wait till we come back.
Yeah.
And my hands heal and my arms heal because I got sliced up and I just... You ever have that moment where I got to walk away because I'm going to put my foot through something?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, because it's an admission of defeat. So, like, I had a technician the other day who broke off 3 head bolts. Ooh. The first one broke, and it was manifold header. Sorry, manifold bolts.
Oh, exhaust manifold stuff?
Yeah, anyway, so he broke the first one, and then the second one broke, and then the third one, he probably should have stopped. Said, maybe I should get a torch.
Whatever you're doing isn't working. Maybe
I should let something soak on it for a while before,
Yeah.
Nah, he broke the third one off. And it's just like, at that point, foreman came over. So what are we doing over here? He's like, You can just tell he's pissed. And, you're blind with rage. And it's
teachable moment.
It is, a little bit. But what's funny is a lot of times customers will say something like, "Oh, we're going to get a new radio for your car," or something like that. And they get like sideways with me, like, "Oh, no, don't touch my dashboard."
Really?
Yeah, because the perception is, because like the 70s and 80s, nowadays cars are so universal. The clips, I mean, I could, myself, the layman, a service manager, can walk up to a Camry from 2007. I can pop the 2 side panels, and I know exactly where to pull out the shifter and lift up that center pan.
Yeah.
The cars are really made to be pulled apart.
Like modular kind of?
Yes, it's so much simpler than it was. But I remember when I put a radio in my 78 Volare, because it's not too far removed from that Fury.
Nope.
lots of metal screws. And then if you did find something that was semi-removable and pop back in, it didn't have plastic clips. It had barbed metal clips. And sometimes those would pop back out. But sometimes they just want to tear sideways, before they would actually remove themselves from the insert, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it just makes for, I don't know, if you know what you're doing, it's okay. I've never actually worked on a Chrysler vehicle this vintage before.
Yeah, it's probably a bad vintage. Probably
it's not great.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's not a time when automotive manufacturing was at its best, right?
No, and you can actually see this thing. It's something my dad said when I got it, and I've had my '58 Plymouth was kind of the same way. '55's a little nicer construction, build quality, but you could see they made things easy to just churn out. And some things are a little flimsy here and there. And my dad, I think we looked at the car, right when I got it. I got it running. He goes, "Yeah, you can kind of see why they were number 3, the big 3." And it's true. But at the same time, we still love them. And the fact that it's survived this long and most of the stuff works, I will get this. This will not defeat me.
Yeah, that's good.
I'll get it.
This is lightweight compared to some of those other things you've handled.
Yeah, I think so. I just need to get a top and an interior, and then everything else will fall right into place.
So can you buy a top?
I can buy a top. It's not that bad. Key, KEE. I think it's called Key. Should be. They sell tops, and they're not that bad. It's just finding a shop to put it on. So, Twin City Upholstery, I'll probably be giving them a call. I actually have seen some of their work. Somebody roll up in a 70 Mercury Marauder, which is another oddball car. Nobody just makes here's a new interior kit. Like, nobody makes that.
No.
And this guy rolled in, and the thing was just beautiful. Beautiful white, kind of pleated vinyl. And it looked really nice, original. He goes, "No, it was all redone. It's all new." And I'm like, "Who did it?" He goes, "Twin Cities out of Bloomington." and they did it by hand to match the fabric and the the pleating, just like the factory.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. So I do, and you had some work done by them, didn't you?
No, I used Looks.
In Pekin?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did my convertible top on the 97 Celica.
It turned out really nice?
Yeah, it turned out great. I did buy the top and brought it to him. And he opened the box and looked at it, and he just charged me for the install. So
not bad.
Yeah. So I'm always shocked by that because in our business, we want to make sure we get all the parts and service business. But sometimes those guys who
they don't want to hunt it down.
They don't want to. I don't think they want to deal with the burden of buying the part and extending their own credit for stuff.
Right.
There's a lot of responsibility for us holding that much parts inventory.
Yeah.
And somebody calls up and says, "Oh, I need to get this done. I need to get this done." We're like, "Okay, we'll get it handled." But if you're a small business and you're like, "Hey, I need a $1,000 roof,"
right,
and then the guy didn't show up,
yeah,
you
never get paid.
Exactly. So
you're sitting on inventory that nobody wants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes it's probably better off just to be like, "I'll put it on. You bring it to me." Right.
Yep.
Yeah. No responsibility.
Yeah, and if it's damaged in shipping, you deal with the vendor and the eBay seller.
It's definitely a different perspective on the world for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else going on there?
No, that's about it for now.
Yeah, I was going to mention also, I forgot to say this, but Central Illinois SCCA does have 2 events coming up in June. I think we're going to have some more in the fall and October, but June 14th and June 15th, they'll be racing up at Mossville, so hopefully you'll see the Forts team up there. You'll hear me talking about doing some racing this year. I got a couple young kids who are interested in doing it, so totally thrilled. I'm hoping that works out.
I saw you put that post on our page, and any opportunity we have to kind of promote that, that's another
totally
an area of interest that you might have. Take the plunge, get out there and do it. You don't need to have some fancy car.
I think we're going to be an official sponsor this year. I told them we would be last year, and then they didn't have a spot. So this year they're going to have 2 events. So if we're an official sponsor,
that'd be great.
Be prepared to see Throwin Wrenches on the back of those T-shirts.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool, right? All right, Daryl, it's been a while. We haven't had like a traditional show in a while, but are you ready for some news?
Let's get back to that old format.
All right, it's time for the news.
Quality.
Man, isn't that great stuff?
Yeah, it is.
All right, so I want to put a disclaimer, a big asterisk, a big hash mark at the beginning of the show, the news section at least. Tariffs. We're not getting into it. I did talk a little bit about it at the More Expo, but mostly, this show will be a week or 2 old by the time you hear it.
Yeah.
Things could change. I mean, I tell you what, things have gone back and forth constantly. So if we do talk about tariffs, it's ever so lightly. There's a Foxconn story coming up here that intrigues me. But other than that, I think even for the next couple months, we got 90 days of tariffs. Of abstaining from tariffs. Who knows what's going on? We're not going to dig into it. It's not.
No, it becomes dated, and it's also a little polarizing here and there because it's a political football. But like Tom Petty said, everything changed, then it changed again.
Exactly,
and that's honestly how quickly things move right now. So by the time you hear this, we want this to be enjoyable for you. We're thinking of you folks.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about Foxconn in the past, and Foxconn, if you don't know, they're the guys. They're involved with the iPhone.
Yeah,
and so there was threats a long time ago about them. Making a car, and so when they pop back up here at Lordstown, I think Lordstown, is that we're back again?
Yeah.
Here, let's read this story anyway. Headline is, as deals and tariffs loom, Foxconn sees U.S. production power in the former GM factory. Front and center at the Foxconn booth here sits a midsize crossover with supersized ambitions. If all goes to plan, the Model C all-electric vehicle could catapult the Taiwanese electronic giant into the U.S. market as one of its newest automotive players. Foxconn, best known as the world's largest contract manufacturer of iPhones, plans to start shipping the Model C to customers across the Pacific by the end of the year, and if the Trump administration's tariffs prove too thorny for the long-term export from Foxconn's factory in Taiwan, Foxconn's Plan B is to refurbish the former General Motors plant in Lordstown, Ohio.
All right.
Daryl's second favorite factory in the United States.
Second thing.
Yes, this would be their U.S. production hub. The plant, which has a capacity of hundreds of thousands of vehicles when fully tooled, would be pumping out vehicles as early as next year, and that's a source from Automotive News.
Well, that's not too bad.
No. It's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, remember the whole Lordstown Motors that was going to make
debacle?
Trucks? Yeah.
Isn't there like one truck?
I think there's like 4, but yeah. Probably 3 of them are clay. No, but it was one of those things where, hey, we're going to make an EV truck and we're going to do this. And I think we kind of poked fun, but there was also a little bit of, it was another one of those where they assembled some people that it could have pulled it off, maybe, if this, and this happened. Of course, none of that did. I'm glad to see, hopefully, if that does pan out. Now, Foxconn, they were going to build a big factory in Wisconsin. Was it Wisconsin?
Yeah, but that was never for the cars. I think that was just build iPhones, right?
Electronics or something?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and of course they have a little bit of a reputation, or, there was some chatter years ago about them being not the best company to work for.
Yeah, if you want to jump off a roof because you hated your job, that's a great place to work for.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. So there's some baggage with the Foxconn brand, but at the end of the day, if there's an opportunity to put something out of the market and utilize a U.S.-based manufacturing facility that isn't that far off from being functional, why not? That region could certainly use. And Lordstown is kind of near Youngstown, Pittsburgh. It's about an hour or so from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It's a part of the country that anybody's been there, or we got some listeners from there. If you're talking steel or manufacturing, kind of got shelled in the last 25, 30, 40, 50 years.
But they kind of got juked in the last 2 or 3 years by Lordstown. I mean...
Yeah.
All the talk was we're going to build money, or we're going to build cars here.
Bring it back.
Put a ton of money in there. And then when you're looking across over to Illinois, you're saying, look, Rivian's building cars. This is the boom coming. And then we kind of watched the collapse of all these EV companies, right?
Yeah, yeah. And meanwhile, there's investment. There's been a lot of, in the Pittsburgh area, there's been a lot of old steel mills, ancillary industries that have been bought by foreign investors. They're sitting on them right now, okay? They're taking a lot of these old factories, and they're sitting on them. They're keeping the lights on. They're keeping the lawn mowed, maybe even getting mail there. Who knows? But there's been a little bit of investment there in the hopes that something is almost primed and ready to come back. What that is, whether it's EVs, whether it's iPhone 17s, or whatever we wind up making there, I think that it's primed to be a production hub, as they said. It's just, what is it going to be? It has to be something that's going to last, and it's going to be marketable, and consumers are going to want. So I don't know. Interesting to see.
Yeah, it's a great article. So definitely one to keep our fingers on and see what happens. Do you want to take this one?
Sure. This one is titled, this is from Ward's Auto.
I titled that, by the way.
Did you?
I think I lost the title. This is not what Ward's price started with.
Excessive tech on display at the Shanghai Auto Show. Here in the States, we're canceling auto shows because nobody goes to them, or they're big, expensive productions. But here in Shanghai, they're doing it right. Imagine vehicles with holographic instrument panels floating in thin air. Cars with see-through doors that allow drivers to see nearby pedestrians and cyclists more easily. And biometric health monitoring using facial recognition and various health metrics, and less costly massaging car seats. I could get behind that.
Yeah.
This is just a small sample of the diverse technologies French auto supplier Forvia is showcasing at the Shanghai Auto Show beginning April 24th. Now, if the marketer in me wants to say, what are they doing differently at the auto shows of the Shanghai or other parts of China and Asia?
Peoria? Oh.
Then Peoria or Youngstown or even Chicago, because it feels like stateside a lot of this stuff has kind of fallen out of favor. It's almost like from a bygone era. Like, I don't need to see all these models. I can see them online in 3D on my phone.
But I did go to the Chicago Auto Show before I went to Mexico this year.
Did you?
Yeah, it was pretty busy, and people still go to the car show. It's not necessarily for the free stuff. It's to see the cool, neat stuff, to do the test drives. I mean, we did
that's what I've heard. Yeah, the test drives.
The test tracks, I think, bring a lot of people.
Yeah,
yeah. The Peoria car show, when you're just walking around looking at a bunch of cars, you could see at any showroom in Peoria. What's the big deal? But we want to see the cool new prototypes. We want to see the test track stuff. So
tech.
I think there's a difference.
Is it more tech, like almost like a lower tier consumer electronics show? Where you'd be like,
it sounds like this one is in Shanghai, right?
Yeah, and this supplier here, I think they're doing things like the LCD displays, and just looking at the article, we talk about see-through doors. It's not. It's really just like
a camera,
an LCD screen in the camera that's already there on the side of the car. So I think we're still, I don't know, stretching the truth a little bit, but at the same time, it's that integration of tech. It's like the whiz bang, ooh, holograms, ooh, this. It's tech. Yeah. In the car. That's really what it is.
But I drove a new Tacoma this week, and it's got the 360 view.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're going under 5-10 miles an hour, it shows you, like the nose camera, it shows you everything around you as you're driving.
Just like the ground rolling by? Yeah.
Yes. It's amazing.
Do you like it, or is it distracting?
For where I live, it's probably not a big deal, but we have the stupid the Timmies, the kitties that would run under the car. So I was
Right.
really worried about a kitten or something like that. And I could watch the activities of things running underneath. But
By the way, I drive so slow in your driveway now because
they're smart. They're so smart.
They get out of the way,
They
but
do.
still.
Yeah. But I mean, that's those kind of features you get real. I don't want to say they're nanny features, but once you get used to them, it's hard to drive another car without. You find yourself craning your neck all over the place when you're driving my little chainsaw truck.
Yeah, like you used to back in the
Exactly.
day. Yeah, I backed one of the old cars down the driveway a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, this is scary now because
Yeah.
you're so reliant on that tech.
Yeah.
And of course, I still rolled over like some rocks. So whatever. It's fine. Or like, what do you call them? Yeah, landscaping rocks.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you're just testing, make sure they were planted right. Mm-hmm. The one thing I liked about this article, this is going to contradict excessively with the later article about SLATE.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting, I have no doubt that the market's going to go both directions. I mean, there's room for $100,000 cars with all this stuff. There's room for $25,000 cars that have none of this stuff, right?
Exactly.
I think it's awesome if the federal government has minimum requirements as far as airbags and backup cameras, tire pressure monitors. There's some stuff you have to have in your car, right? So if you can make a car and you make it so basic and still meet the federal requirements, it's going to be interesting to see what bare bones minimum is.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get to that SLATE article here in a minute.
Yeah, no, it's interesting perspective for sure. Bring back the auto show here. Come on, like
We won't make fun of it. We swear.
Yeah, Peoria needs the auto show again. Maybe.
All right, maybe we'll title this episode "Bring Back the Peoria Auto Show."
Right.
Make Peoria Auto Show great again.
There you go.
All right. So I'm going to let you take this because this is close to your heart. If I think of any news story I've heard of recently that's close to Daryl Scott's heart, this is it.
Yeah, and this one kept me up at night because I read it and I wept silently, much like a Simon and Garfunkel song. The headline, and this is from GM Authority, but it's been elsewhere. GM 6.2-liter V8 engine recall unrelated to valve lifter issues.
What? That headline seems skewed.
It does seem a little skewed. And really, other headlines are things like GM recalls 500,000 vehicles. That's probably a better headline.
Yeah,
but
it sounds like it.
this one's interesting, and it is coming from a GM enthusiast network.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. This is not General Motors. This isn't from their propaganda page, right?
Exactly. General Motors recently announced a wide-ranging safety recall involving the naturally aspirated 6.2 L87 gasoline engine, affecting nearly 600,000 vehicles in the United States. While the recall addresses two potentially serious mechanical defects that can lead to engine failure and loss of propulsion, sounds like a rocket. Loss of propulsion to planet Mars.
Yeah.
GM has confirmed the recall is not related to the well-documented valve lifter problems experienced by some owners.
Yeah, definitely not that.
Definitely not. Totally different. Not related. The recall for the 6.2 identifies two specific manufacturing defects at the supplier level, namely potential contamination leading to rod bearing damage and crankshafts that were either improperly finished or otherwise out of spec. As covered previously, the new L87 engine recall impacts a wide array of full-size GM vehicles that include Silverados and, all that fun stuff, Suburbans, SUVs between...
Everything big.
Yeah, 2021, 2024. So a pretty good chunk of years. And 597,630.1 units are impacted, with global recall figures approaching some 721,000 units. Bottom line is, have you seen some of those videos, like the catastrophic failure videos?
No, I have not. I stick my head in the Toyota sand. That's all I do
That's
all day,
fine.
so sorry.
That's fine. It happens early. Right? These are people who usually spend a lot of money on a full-size vehicle, truck or SUV, and it typically seems to happen early on in the vehicle's life. So we're talking like 1,500 miles, 5,000 miles, that kind of thing. So much, though, that some industry insiders have said that GM changed their PDI protocol. So when they got the things off the trucks, they would be like, okay, cool, we're going to PDI it. We're going to go behind the dealership, start them up, and run them at $2,000, almost like a cam break-in. And I don't know if that's related to the lifters or the rod thing or whatever, but they basically run them at like $2,000 for like 20 minutes, and if it blew up, warranty it right there on the spot before the customer ever saw it.
Wow.
Or if it survived, it'd be like, cool, ship it and see what happens. And then, 2,000 miles later, the thing would lock up. A lot of these videos that are floating around out there on the social media are people who are very upset, very loyal GM owners, And they're like, "What the hell?" And they've got video of the things running, and you can hear it's spun rod. I mean, it's bad. It is like the death rattle sound, and people keep running it, and they're like, "Yeah, my dealers they can't get me a replacement motor because they're all on back order." You know, I mean, it's really sad. And I'm not just like slamming GM here. Because every auto manufacturer at some point deals with, hey, we got a bad batch of X, or hey, this didn't work. This is an engineering problem. We'll fix it. And GM's
the beauty of it is nowadays you can track all the supply lines, so we can identify within one engine, you know, which crankshaft went in, right?
The number 7 rod bolt was not torqued properly.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they can dial that in. Let me ask you this. I don't want to put you on the spot, but like when something like this happens, and it is a supplier issue. Does like the manufacturer go back to the supplier and be like, well, hey, TRW, you made our valve train. You are bad lifters.
I know with Takata, that's how it went.
They hold them accountable?
Yeah, but like the Tundra engine recall right now, I assume that crank bearings and stuff like that, Toyota's not making those crank bearings, so they have a company, and I guarantee they might own them. They might lean on them real hard, or had owned a portion of them by the time it was all over. I don't know. You have to assume this is like a high level question for business insurance.
Yeah,
Who's liable at that point? Does the manufacturer, does Toyota basically have insurance to cover all this because you can't guarantee every supplier, or do those suppliers have insurance? Who deals with that? Let's
say, I don't know, what's an average in and out labor? Like are we talking like 20 hours? I mean, probably more on some of these. I don't know, but like you take like the hour.
So on the Tundra engines for us, it's about $3,700 in labor.
Okay,
for each one of those.
So let's say that roughly that's the same for like a GM
plus parts. Yeah.
So 30. Let's round it up. Let's say $5,000 total, with parts and all that other stuff.
Oh no. We're about $20,000 total with parts.
$20,000 times what? 7? Well, 597,000. That's somebody. So
that leads me to believe they won't do what Toyota's doing. Toyota's sending the long block on that Tundra recall, and they had 100,000 motors. So obviously, the proportions are different. Toyota has tons of money in the bank; they can handle 100,000 motors. Way easier than probably GM can handle 700,000 motors, right?
I would think so.
So they have to be doing some kind of triage where they're going to assess the damage, they're going to assess the risk, and whether they give people a coupon for towards a new vehicle.
It's like $4 billion if you estimate it on the low side. That's being conservative.
Yeah, they won't do that. They'd buy back the cars first to give people a rebate. Towards a new car or something like that.
Yeah,
which would still piss people off. Yeah.
Well, and if it's not that, I mean, the other thing too is if you I follow a guy on TikTok. He goes by Victor Shack, and he's actually a rebuilder in California, and he's a machinist and an engine rebuilder, and a lot of his stuff I follow. It's interesting. It's late model trucks, mostly work trucks. And if it's not a company that owns them, it's somebody who's in the trades who has a truck because of that purpose. He's like, when a truck like that, catastrophic motor failure, or if it's a Ford, it's like the cam phasers on an EcoBoost motor. They all have their thing. If it's a Ram, it's something else, right? He goes, this is downtime for the customer, but it's lost revenue for them. They can't work. And when you start throwing that out there too, it's one thing if you're suburban. That you're going to the office with, or you're playing golf, and it's a bummer. I spent a lot of money, but it's under warranty. It'll get fixed. Mm-hmm. If somebody's got a relatively new truck and they use that for their work vehicle, that blows.
Or it's your soccer mom car, right?
Yeah.
Those are prestige vehicles too. Tahoes and Suburbans. It's all about the family truckster having 3 rows of seat, have the 5 or 6 kids in there.
Big time.
So now if you have a vehicle that's laid up, you have to provide a car with equal seating and equal size or capacity, right? That's a whole different level of customer.
The expectation?
Yes.
Yeah, a 6.2. I'm pretty sure you can get that in the Escalade. That type of customer is not going to be like, well, we have a Chevy Spark we can give you.
Exactly.
That's not going to happen.
No.
So, hey, GM, get it together. Stop putting out garbage. All right, that's what we got.
Good luck. That'll be an interesting one to see how it folds out and what the actual recall entails. So I did say we're not going to talk about tariffs, and then for some reason I had 2 articles in here about tariffs. I'm not going to do the second one.
Skip them?
Yeah, we could talk about this one about Used car prices, maybe. It's in April. We're in May. We'll skip it.
Okay, all right.
This one's awesome because this one sucks. Volkswagen's keeping the 2025 GTI for the U.S. after deleting the standard Golf. I didn't even know the Golf was still a car, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me neither.
I knew they had the Rabbit edition, but I thought that thing kind of died off a while ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, this one's from Ward's Auto. The 2025 Golf GTI continues its legacy as a quintessential hot hatch, blending performance, practicality, and the best of modern tech with a Volkswagen Group that they could muster for the enthusiast crowd. While the GTI, introduced 50 years ago in Germany, retains the core elements that have made it a favorite among devotees in the world over, the 2025 model introduces several updates and changes that enhance its appeal. Under the hood, a U.S. spec 2025 GTA maintains a turbocharged 2.0 inline 4, developing 241 horsepower. I never say delivering. I'm sorry, I said developing. Anyway.
That's fine.
273 pounds of torque. That's pretty good. The engine is exclusively paired with a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, as the manual option has been discontinued for this model year. That sucks.
That's terrible.
That sucks. I'm going to buy a GTI and an automatic only.
Yeah.
What is this world coming to?
I want to file a grievance. That's terrible.
Dude, I guess what it comes down to is the sales figures. I would love to know where the Golf numbers have gone for manual transmissions.
I thought that okay. When you mentioned you didn't know the Golf was still a thing.
Yeah,
I honestly didn't know either. But when you think of German
car people don't run in my circle.
No,
I don't think.
No,
I mean
they're a little.
I mean,
it's a different group.
And now for the Toyota Corolla, the GR Corolla, guess what? We're offering that in an automatic.
I saw that.
Yeah, because of all the turkeys in the United States who can't drive a friggin' stick. But to cancel the manual transmission, the GTI.
I mean, that's kind of the whole reason hot hatches exist is because of this vehicle.
Yeah.
And they've kind of hindered it. Yeah.
Germans got to be laughing. Like, what's going on in the States?
I wonder if you
Or they're weeping, one of the two. They're like, what happened to the cool American United States?
The U.S. spec model remains, the Turbo 4 and the 7-speed. I wonder if the Euro spec model, you can still get a 6-speed manual in it.
Okay. If let's, just to quote Bill Murray in Ghostbusters, the world
cats and dogs,
cats sleeping together,
mass hysteria. But yeah, 6-speed.
Daryl's doing a quick.
I'm doing a quick search.
Yeah, I don't know if you make sure you put it on the German translation.
By the way, AI results are just ruining everything.
I mean, they do help a lot, but generally they're garbage.
Yeah, 6-speed manual for both cars discontinued.
Are you?
So you can't get anywhere in the world. Hold up.
Do they still make a Jetta with a stick shift?
Yes. Hold on.
Oh my God!
No, that's not true.
Oh
See, God. This is crap.
This world's going to hell.
No, the only transmission choice this time around 7. This is straight
for a GTI.
Yeah, GTI 7-speed dual clutch automatic. Now so my neighbor bought a GTI. It's a used. It's maybe like 10 years old. Golf GTI for his daughter as her first car, and it's a dual clutch automatic. And he said it's not bad, but also
not bad. Not fun.
I mean, RC Cola is not bad. It's not great.
I like RC.
Do you?
I don't buy it.
Like Royal Crown. Nobody. When's the last time you put it in your car?
I mean, if I show up at a burger and fry place and they don't have enough money for a Coke or Pepsi for and they have to serve RC, like I'm cool with that.
Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi. We have Diet Right. Sure. I mean, Diet Shasta. Okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe. No, they completely made it go away. They disappeared. The 6-speed manual. I'm actually really surprised.
I just want to end the show right now. Okay. Honestly,
you sad?
I am sad.
That make you a sad panda?
Dude, this is tragedy.
Dear
of everything
Volkswagen.
of everything going on in the world right now. This exemplifies what's wrong with everything in the world.
Well, when I go to Wolfsburg later,
can you put in a word for me? I'm not going to buy one, but I just want to let them know how upset I am about the whole thing.
The Eric Stoll will not buy one. Oh, then.
But he offers criticism.
We will get our engineering staff right on it. Now, the thing of it is, you can still buy a Porsche with an honest-to-goodness manual trans.
Yes.
At least at the time that we're recording this. That might change. I thought, Audis, I think, made I think that disappeared with Audis.
No, they did not.
I don't think you can get a stick in an Audi anymore.
No way.
It's the same thing.
No way.
BMWs you can still get with a 6-speed. Certain ones.
I don't think you can get a Tacoma with a stick anymore, can you?
No, the last gen I think you could. See, and Nissan Frontier. I don't know. That'd be another one. I think we need, and there's probably a website already. There needs to be a list that's like the last bastion, almost like Mad Max.
I'm going to get a Volkswagen Polo stick shift when I'm in Iceland. I'm going to do it just so I can.
Just because?
Yes.
I bet you can get a Volkswagen truck overseas with a because you can buy a Volkswagen pickup.
Yeah.
Overseas.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Maybe they got one. Okay.
All right.
Cars with stick shift
in 2025.
Yeah. And I'll see.
It's probably a very long list. It's probably pain-inducing to read through them all. But is there any surprises in there?
All right. So Road and Track has one. Pulls right up. Ranked. It even ranks them.
Oh.
Including Porsche, BMW. Okay, the first two are German in that list. Hello.
Okay.
Volkswagen, you dorcases. All right. Porsche 911 for the small price of $135,000.
Yeah, for the unattainable. Okay.
What do you think's the second on the list ranked? It's domestic, by the way.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Chevy Cruze.
No. They don't make those anymore.
Cobalt. I don't know.
No. Cadillac CT5V Blackwing.
You can get a Cadillac with a manual?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a guy in Grandview.
Now, see, I would feel like there's a better chance of getting that and only automatic.
Hold on. You know what motor's in that car?
No.
The 6.2 V8 that they recalled.
And they didn't recall it, Daryl.
Oh, terrible. But you can get a 6-speed.
Nothing to do with the valves.
Put a different LS in it. Porsche Cayman, you can still get.
Yeah.
Porsche Boxster, which kind of looks like a
Okay, all right. Let's get out of the hoity-toity.
Mazda Miata. Thank goodness.
There you go. They don't even call it a Miata anymore. It's a
MX-5.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, okay. So that's still Honda Civic Type R.
Thank you.
$47K, not bad.
$47K for a Honda Civic.
Our good old friend Toyota GR86 on the list.
Yep.
You can still get one of them.
28,000?
31.
Okay.
31. And is it a 2.4 flat 4 and a 6-speed? Subaru BRZ. Same
car.
Yeah. And let's see what else. I'll stop here. BMW M2. That's another one on their list. $60,000. So, all right. Volkswagen, you've got your orders. You need to get it back in gear. Get rid of that stupid dual clutch automatic and bring us a real stick shift.
What are you, a Ford Fiesta? My God.
Backed by popular demand, something no one asked for.
Exactly.
Except they did. That's the problem.
No, they didn't ask for it. They just bought that way.
All right.
Little Sally needs a car. She's 16. Well, don't get her a stick shift. She can barely drive.
Yeah, right. You don't want to be distracted.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you're teaching the next generation of kiddos to be modern motorists, throw the phone out the window and give them a car they actually need to concentrate to drive.
Yeah.
Then everything else is second nature. It's like chewing gum and walking. I don't know. We've got a lot of passion about this.
I think we do.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and so the next story, we alluded to this in the title of the episode, but the SLATE Auto unveils a refreshingly simple and small 2-seat electric truck designed to be customized, starting at under $27,000. This is from Jalopnik. Are you ready for the SLATE, Daryl?
Oh, I'm more than ready.
Are you? After a brief but very buzzy teaser campaign, Jeff Bezos' back startup company SLATE Auto has revealed its electric pickup at an event in Long Beach, California. The extremely simple, refreshingly small truck is designed to be a blank slate.
Here we go.
See what they did there? See what they did? SLATE.
He's funny. Waka, waka,
for owners to easily customize how they want. Hence the SLATE name. Oh, see, they knew the joke when they said it, Daryl. Not be condescending.
No, there was a 10-person focus group that spent 10 years doing it. Anyway.
Yeah, the funny thing is, so SLATE people thought was related to Tesla because it's an anagram.
Oh.
It's so wild. It's so crazy. Anyway, it has a wide variety of more than 100 accessories available at the launch. You'll even be able to transform the 2-seat truck into a 5-seat SUV. And the rear-wheel drive SLATE will have a range of up to 240 miles. That's with a bigger battery asterisk. SLATE says the truck will proudly be made in the United States as part of a commitment to reindustrializing America. It will cost less than $20,000 with federal incentives factored in at the start of the production year. And so we had some, I got like 7 paragraphs of information about the Slate. So I would tell you the best thing you do right now is get on YouTube, type in Slate introduction video.
Yeah.
And just kind of watch the walk around and the talk. It's boring as hell.
Because they had a splashy presser, right? The big press conference.
Yeah, and they rolled through like 10 or 15 of these things. It's an interesting concept. It's a very basic truck. Every time you look at it online, you see all these different configurations. You're like, oh, I could do this. But the misnomer about the whole thing is it is literally as small as like a 1991 Toyota pickup.
Yeah.
People forget how small that vehicle is.
Until you're next to like a Dodge Ram or something.
Yeah,
Ram
exactly.
truck, whatever.
It's a very, very small vehicle. And with federal incentives, with the normal range of the basic range of being like 110 or 120 miles for $20,000, you start to question, why wouldn't you just buy a used Tacoma with 100,000 miles on it for the same price, right?
I get that. I don't know. People in this day and age, they don't want, unless it's quirky or interesting. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like thrift stores. Like, hey, you want to buy this shirt that works as a really good shirt, and there's nothing wrong with this shirt, but it's old? Mm-hmm. No, it's icky. Hey, you want to buy this shirt with like I don't know, Alf on it? Yeah, it's cool. It's fun. It's more of a fashion statement or like a statusy thing.
I get that.
But they don't want to buy, like, if the choice was to buy this weird, quirky, somewhat practical oddball EV startup thing, or a fully functional 94 Tacoma that's like can do everything and then some,
and
it's got like air conditioning, they won't pick that. And I don't know why. Like, you and I would, because it's like, why not? There's too much of an unknown quantity with the Slate stuff. I think it's a cool idea. And you and I, we texted, I think, when this was hitting the news waves, pretty big week or two ago. And we're like, roll up windows, no options, no radio. This is what everyone says they want, but they really don't.
Yeah, crank windows.
Yeah.
No radio.
Oh, cool. Back when trucks were just like regular trucks and cheap and affordable.
Yeah.
No, that's what they want, affordability. Mm-hmm. They don't want this. I think this is weird, but also could be kind of cool. I don't know.
I think the biggest problem I have, so like my little truck, my chainsaw truck, I don't have a radio that works. I have an AM/FM radio that works, but if I want to listen to something on my phone, I got to take my Bluetooth speaker out there. And
just put it on the dash.
Exactly. I put it on the dash.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. It's got crank windows. It's got a manual transmission.
You call it your chainsaw truck, but longtime listeners will know it as Little Mule.
Little Mule, yeah.
And Little Mule is
my Little Mule.
What year? 96?
95.
95, Toyota Tacoma, regular cab, short bed, 4-cylinder, 5-speed.
Yep. Four-wheel drive.
Four-wheel drive.
Yeah. It's my chainsaw truck. I just drive it around the yard because, honestly, that size of truck from back in the early 90s was so small. I think there's quads and four-wheelers from Yamaha that are actually bigger vehicles than this thing is now.
100%.
So I can cruise around my yard and go out and do some chainsaw work with it. It's a wonderful vehicle, but they're small. It's a whole different lifestyle.
But it fits the need. It fits the need if I need a truck. Just like this thing, if you look at the specs, it's barely 5 feet tall. The bed is 5 feet, which is bigger than a Ford Maverick, which the last time people went gaga over this was the Maverick. And then it was like,
Mavericks, they made a mistake, though, recently with the Maverick. From everything I've heard, Ford just keeps notching up the price on it. They've sold so well, and the dealers know that they're going to sell them. So what do? They add more accessories. They get the premium level versions of it.
The Tremor.
Yeah, exactly. So next thing you know, you got a $40,000 Maverick, and the whole draw of the Maverick was a sub $30,000 truck, right?
Yeah, and sub 30 when it came out was $29,999.
Right.
But they came out with steel wheels, and everybody
And this truck, the Slate, is steel wheels.
Steel wheels. You're not going to get the fancy big motor and the V6 and all that. It's just a little 4-cylinder, but it got good mileage. Sure. Well, that's not good enough. I want something more, or I want that, but I also want the 500 amp or 500 watt sound system and all that. So now you got these little things that are pushing 45, 50, which to me for a small truck, again, why wouldn't you just buy a 5-year-old F-150 or Ranger for that price that could do 3 times as much?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is cool. I'd like to see one in person. I like the customization. When you were talking through all the different customization options, the first thing that went through my mind is, when does Lego get a vehicle? Legos are
Volkswagen
huge.
had one with the Golf. Remember that multicolored one years ago?
Yeah, the Harlequin.
Yeah.
That's it. By the way, Volkswagen used to be good, used to be cool, used to be hip. What happened? No, Slate. Let's see what happens if you could get one of these things for what they said. What was it? 27?
Well, it's 27 minus the $7,500 federal rebate, so it'd be $20,000.
If you get one of these things for a little over 20 out the door, would you buy it?
No.
How come?
2-wheel drive. So in this neck of the woods,
Yeah.
it'd be one thing if it was even front-wheel drive. It's rear-wheel drive.
Which is odd.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
The Maverick's front-wheel drive, if you get the base model, and I think that's a smart play. Why this vehicle is not front-wheel drive doesn't make any sense.
That's a very good point. Singular body style, but even the accessory kit, like you go to IKEA and be like,
It's all flat pack. Yeah. Well, if you want say you want the fastback, they just send it to you flat pack.
I mean,
it's
cool.
I mean, that's cool. Here's my biggest problem, and it's not necessarily because it's rear-wheel drive that I wouldn't take it. My biggest problem is Rivian and Tesla and Lucid and some of these other manufacturers who have made car manufacture, they basically sprouted from the ground up, have made a service network in the background. My biggest problem is if I get on Amazon.com and I order a Slate, I put the $50 down, and I get this car that shows up, and I have a $27,000 car or whatever.
Yeah.
Next week I go out and the wheel bearing's making noise, and I don't know what's going on. What do I do? Well, I press the support button. Well, I can't. There's no this car's not that intuitive. It's not like a Tesla, and there's no service center. So now I'm calling a phone number. I'm on a website, and I'm describing the problem, and they're like, okay. And what are they doing? They towing it to some local Amazon facility or something like that to have the wheel bearing checked. I have so many question marks about my life with this vehicle.
Yep.
And service matters. A service network matters. If you buy a car and you can't trust that somebody's going to maintain it after you buy it, granted, $20,000 is just like 3 or 4 iPhones now, for the cost.
That's true.
Yeah. But
you think it's a disposable vehicle? And that's what
I think all EVs essentially are disposable vehicles.
You think so?
So I had a friend of mine who's getting rid of her Tesla. She's had it 4 years. And she said when they first bought it, they could drive to Monmouth and back, take the kids to college. Now, after 4 years, the battery won't make it to Monmouth and back. And so they can't handle that. I'm like, what? I didn't even know that was a thing with those cars, that they would literally break down the battery that much.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of factors. But so what? They've just relegated it to in-town use? Or
yeah,
what?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They don't trust it now. They won't take it out of town, so now they're getting rid of it, and they're buying a Toyota. They're going back to Toyota. So
yeah.
Because at first I thought maybe it was some of the Elon nonsense going on. But no, it's just literally the fuel range is over 4 or 5 years has diminished.
Batteries drop. Well, and it's a hard climate here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
We talked about that in previous shows. Hard climate for that. But you do touch on something I think is very important, is the Amazon customer is used to, I don't like this, or this is cheap and it wasn't what I wanted, so I'm just going to throw it out or give it to my friend or something like that.
Yeah.
And I do worry that things like this, if you make them cheap enough, the appeal is there. But 5 years from now, are we going to have a landfill filled with all these plastic slate vehicles that can't do anything?
I think it's a great idea. But what I really do believe, what I would like to believe, what I think should happen at corporate America, if I'm a major auto manufacturer like GM or Toyota, I look at this and be like, let's watch this and see what happens, and then let's just tear their heads off and do it ourselves.
Yeah,
because we have a whole service network.
Right.
We can take care of the customers. We can distribute them across the country. Much easier than Amazon can deal with this. Don't get me wrong, Amazon's king of logistics. But they sell things and they put them in your pocket,
and there's no follow up.
No, exactly.
There's no hey, how'd that go?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't care how it goes because there's more people they're going to target and market to.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree, and that's a perspective that you don't look at it because everybody is flashy, new.
Yeah.
And Jim Carrey had a good thing years ago where he talked about, here's my impression of Hollywood was something new. Ooh, give me that, it's new. Oh, and he does this whole pretending to like a
digest
it, spitting it out, and he burps, and that's the end of it. And that's it. That's the whole impression. And that's kind of what I think we're doing with some of these things here.
Maybe. I don't want to be a naysayer because a lot of people will be like, he's the dealership guy. He's the franchise dealership guy. Of course, he's going to poo-poo on this. I am not. Believe me, I love cool new stuff as much.
You were
as
all about the Canoe.
Yeah,
you were all, and there's shades of that in this.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the Canoe was an awesome vehicle because, like this, it was a component vehicle. You can make it a van. You can make it a truck.
Right.
Do all these different things with it, and the Canoe probably suffered just like we were talking about earlier with all these extra technology things it could do. It literally had the fly-by-wire steering system and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Super cool. I'm down with all that stuff. I have no problem with it. But my problem is when you buy it, because I know this now,
what happens next.
Yeah. Customers want to know that if something breaks down. And it's not even, people don't trade their cars because the drivetrain's breaking down or, I gave the story about the Tesla owner. But realistically, people get rid of things because of niggling problems,
Right.
Power window, we fixed that twice in the last 2 or 3 years. Or the blower motor howls. I mean, it's that type of stuff that drives people nuts.
Yeah.
The little things they deal with all the time. If I go up to the drive-thru at McDonald's, the window won't go down.
Yeah, exactly.
So where do I go if I buy one of these trucks and the power window or the crank window jams or something like that, right?
Nobody's making there's no support network to replace a window regulator in a Slate, and there never will be.
No. They probably will have some kind of a freelance network. Amazon, like I said, does get their van service next door at the Dodge store. So maybe they'll have some kind of contract for Slate vehicles as well. It's possible. But who knows where the electric motor's coming from, where the battery's being made. My God, I can only imagine the half-ass electrical diagrams are going to be supplied to the repair facilities. It's hard enough for Toyota to keep up with all their new stuff. So I can't imagine this manufacturer is going to be on top of everything.
Probably not.
But what do I know? I've only been in the business 30 years. I know nothing.
Sure. You're biased. You're biased. Well, speaking of technology.
Now, one thing. One thing, scrolling down through this, I did see Warsaw, Indiana is the spot they've chosen.
To build them?
Yeah, 1.4 million foot capacity printing mill company up until 2023. They expect to make their first customer vehicles in 2026.
Interesting.
So I don't know anything. Yeah. Where is Warsaw, Indiana?
Warsaw is, let's see here. It is close to, I'm zooming in on the map. You know where Goshen is?
No.
Okay.
And
Fort Wayne.
Carlos?
No, sort of. In between.
Fort Wayne. So we're getting up towards Ohio again.
Yeah. So if you, Michigan kind of, yes. If you go towards, in between Valparaiso and Fort Wayne, right in the middle of US 30 is Warsaw, Indiana. And it is the county seat of Kosciuszko County.
Wow.
Population of 15,000 fine people. So
it's the Pekin of Indiana.
It is the Pekin of Indiana, which isn't necessarily good or bad.
Whoa.
No, it's great. All right. It's great. All right. So Slate, I'm going to put a pin in that, and we'll come back and see how that comes together.
Yeah, let's put an alarm on my phone to check that.
Set a Google alert.
Yeah.
All right. So here's some other tech stuff. And this one...
By the way, we're 1 hour and 22 minutes in the show.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I told everybody we're going long. If you listen to the pre-show, we're just doing our thing.
Sorry.
This is the modern podcast format. We go long now.
We've embraced it. All right, so here's an article. It's called New Bill Would Require Speed Limiting Tech on Cars of Frequent Speeders by WNYT. We're using some tech to stop those speeders. A new bill could limit how fast delinquent drivers can go in New York State. The Stop Super Speeders Act, which was named by a 4-year-old, would require speed limiting devices on cars that get 6 or more red light tickets in a year, or any driver who gets more than 11 points on their license in a 2-year span. I feel like that's a lot, don't you?
That does seem like excessive.
Those devices would prevent cars from going more than 5 miles per hour over the speed limit. 3 states have already passed similar legislation, and the National Safety Transportation Board has even recommended this policy. Do you remember?
Do you want to read that line again?
Which one?
Those devices would prevent vehicles from going more than 5 miles per hour over the speed limit.
Yeah, limiting. It's a speed limiter. So, Australia. You read a story, I don't know, 5 episodes ago, where Australia had something like that.
Yeah.
Where it was like, oh, gotcha.
It was okay in Australia.
Yeah, well, now it's hitting home. Now it's on our shores.
Exactly.
I do feel like this is only a matter of time.
Yeah.
You know, as more and more tech permeates the automobile. And that's great. It's fine. Our consumers really demand that. This is the downside of tech, right? This is the thing that, hey, when you screw up, we're going to go ahead and take some stuff away from you. Now, again, driving is a privilege, not a right.
Yeah.
And I understand when you do stupid stuff, play stupid games, win stupid prizes or whatever. 11 points on your license or more, that's when you get this. I feel maybe that's okay.
Oh, God, there's my mother-in-law.
Maybe not.
Hang
All right.
on. Let's
do the thing.
Yep. All right. Sorry, we had to hop out of there. Thank you, Daryl, for the candor of dropping out when the family members call.
Of course. So bottom line is don't speed because you might soon be not able to drive at all.
Yeah, exactly. Nanny State is watching, and they will get you. That's in New York, though. Illinois will never be like that.
No, of course not.
Yeah, exactly. Bonus article. I said in the notes, and we have these finely honed notes that we do for the show.
Bonus.
We're going long, is what I said. So this one, car subscription features raise your risk of government surveillance, police records show. This is from Wired Magazine. Records reviewed by Wired show that law enforcement agencies are eager to take advantage of data trails generated by a flood of new internet-connected vehicle features. Automakers are increasingly pushing consumers to accept monthly and annual fees to unlock pre-installed safety and performance features from hands-free driving systems and heated seats to cameras and other automatically recorded incident situation programs. But the additional levels of internet connectivity in this subscription model require an increasing driver exposure to government surveillance and the likelihood of being caught up in police investigations. A cache of more than 24 police records recently reviewed by Wired showed that U.S. law enforcement agencies regularly trained on how to take advantage of connected cars with subscription-based features, drastically increasing the amount of data that is being accessed during investigations. The records make clear that law enforcement's knowledge of the surveillance far exceeds that of the public, reveal how corporate policies and technology... Let me read that back. The records make clear that law enforcement's knowledge of the surveillance far exceeds that of the public and reveal how corporate policies and technology, not the law, determine the driver privacy. Ooh, this is scary stuff. Each manufacturer has its whole new protocol on how the operating system of the vehicle utilizes telematics, mobile Wi-Fi, etc. One law enforcement officer noted in the presentation prepared by the California State Highway Patrol, CHIPS, as we used to call them as I was a kid. Yeah, the presentation, while undated, contains statistics on the connected cars for the year 2024. If a vehicle has an active subscription, they add, it does create more data.
So interesting. The takeaway from that for me was basically like, hey, the law doesn't determine what you own and what you don't, privacy-wise. It's the end-user license agreement you accept when you get into the car.
Yes.
And everything you fire up now, whether it's your phone, your car, whether it's a kiosk at Taco Bell when you're ordering your chalupa, you're checking a box that says, I agree to terms and conditions. So you have the illusion of privacy, I think, in this day and age. Privacy doesn't exist. It hasn't for a while.
No.
What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize what these features come with. So when you buy a new car, you're like, oh, it comes with 3 years of this.
Yeah.
You know, it comes with the connected SOS services.
Satellite,
comes with OnStar.
satellite radio.
Yeah. But if you're in an accident and any number of reasons why you would not want an investigative agency to see what you were doing in the car
right.
when you had the accident, there's cameras on board. You know, there's telematics that can say the speed you were going. I mean, it's not, when I was a kid, they had to tell how fast you're going in an accident by the amount of the skid marks and how far the car was thrown in the other direction.
Yeah, they did math and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now they just plug they go down to Copar and they get a technician just to read off the ECU, right?
Yeah, you were here and then you were here, and it took you 15 minutes, and it should have taken you an hour. You were speeding. By
the way, before the airbags exploded, you were doing 45 miles an hour, and we know on this street it was a 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right.
Essentially a black box. Yeah. Remember, when we were kids, like, the plane crashed, but they got the black box so they know exactly what happened. Yeah. We have that in cars now.
Yeah.
And you can't get away with anything. So it's good and bad, right? It's the trade-off. It's the double-edged sword.
Well, and the trade-off is, so like if my wife, let's just say in her new Prius, she got a 2024 Prius, and she was driving to Lincoln for work one day, and it's a blizzard, and she rolled her car. She has all the capabilities. The car knows exactly where it is by her GPS location. If she called for help, a tow truck or anybody could get exactly where she's at.
Right.
Where are you at, ma'am? I don't know. The car knows, right?
Yep. Or, I mean, there's been other times where things automatically get called and triggered because the driver's unconscious, and that's the technology that saves lives. So I do understand. There is a benefit to that. There is a benefit to listening to Bob and Tom anywhere you drive because your satellite radios, feed it to you.
It's not even Bob and Tom anymore.
No, I don't know.
It's like Bob and Tom's Ghost or something. I don't know what the
it's the best of Bob and Tom. So I get it. But the trade-off is you're never really out of reach anywhere you go.
Now, if you buy a new car, you have to know this stuff, right?
I think so. And
you can turn off. I mean, if you buy a new car, you can turn off the DC, what we call the communication module. We can turn that off, or you can wait till it expires after 2 or 3 years, and none of those features are live.
Yeah.
So you can get away from it, but
it's like turning the location off on your phone.
Yes, but realistically, I mean, it's putting the tinfoil hat on. I mean, if you're up to something, I mean, if I'm smuggling dead bodies or I'm smuggling drugs, I definitely don't want to have this stuff on. And I get the argument. I have nothing to hide. I understand that, But if I want to utilize the features of the technology, it's there. It's there for our use. It's there for our protection.
Right.
I get it. We could go back to the old days and drive a car across the country and dump a dead body and come back and nobody'd ever know what happened, right?
A simpler time.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. But that just won't work these days.
No, and tech always has the dark side. There's always some person looking to exploit. I mean, when I first moved to Peoria, somebody in law enforcement might have put a GPS tracking device on a former lover's car because he suspected her of cheating.
Ouch.
And that was like a big deal locally. And I think it all went away. I don't remember what happened with that. But that was one of those things where I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Who would do such a thing? And then like here 10 years, 15, 20 years later, people are like, I can buy an Apple AirTag and I know exactly where my keys are at all times.
Yeah.
But somebody's taking an Apple AirTag and throwing it somewhere else.
We had an incident here recently in the shop. We found one in somebody's car because the alarm kept going on the technician's phone saying AirTag present. And the AirTag will kind of whistle at you too as it
makes a little noise.
Yeah. They found it in the guy's truck.
Some dude just threw it in there?
Somebody.
Lady friend.
Oh, and then we told the guy, it just turned into, I need the police there, I need to investigate. I'm like, oh my God.
So there's always the darker side of technology. Yeah. But you know what? Unless you're living on
that should be a new segment of the show.
The darker side of technology.
Yes, exactly. We got some new, starting on episode 101, we got all kinds of new ideas. So.
Yeah, we're full of them. Just ask us. But no, I think that's fantastic, except for when you don't want it to be. So, hey, tech, it's here to stay. If you want to live in a little house on the prairie, maybe cars aren't for you.
Hey, what do you say? Dark tech is here to stay.
That's our theme song.
It's coming up.
Get a band.
All right, more local building news. I want you to grab this one.
You want me to take this one?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Anything that has to do with, like, assembly lines in central Illinois or the Midwest, Daryl Scott reads those.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Stellantis, formerly known as Fiat Chrysler / whatever.
Yeah.
Stellantis to build new truck in idled Belvidere plant. Good old Belvidere, Illinois. The recommitments follow a threatened national strike by the United Auto Workers. Stellantis says it is still on track to reopen the Belvidere assembly line. Tariffs or not, reopening is still on the schedule for the year 2027. Belvidere, Illinois, of course, just outside of Rockford, north of where we record our automotive podcast here. Despite all the chaos surrounding the auto industry lately, tariff battles, production pauses, layoffs, Stellantis says it's still full speed ahead on reopening its Belvidere assembly plant in 2027. Straight from the company, which told the Chicago Sun-Times this week that nothing has changed regarding the timeline agreed upon last year in the UAW contract. The launch timing for the plant has not changed, said Stellantis spokesperson Jody Tinson. Will honor the timing indicated in the 2023 collective bargaining agreement, so they're still expecting to launch in 2027. And actually, Eric, it is pretty timely news because in May of 2023, when I took delivery of one 1970 Plymouth Fury 3 convertible built on the Belvidere assembly line in December of 1969.
Nice.
Stellantis announced that week that they were shuttering that plant. Actually, they just called it idling. By the way, does anybody idle anything?
Mothball. We don't say mothball because nobody knows what a mothball is.
No, people are like, what? See, back in the day, we put chemicals in a ball and made it smell bad, and everybody put it in their clothes.
I got some under the hood of my Tundra right now.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Did it?
It stops rodents from... I mean, my car smells putrid all the time. But,
turn the air on.
But the good news is there's no mice.
That's helpful. So this is timely. They actually shuttered that plant in 2023. And of course, that plant's been around since, I believe, 1965, I think is when it opened. And they made everything from the K car to the minivans to Ram pickups to Jeeps to Neons. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It most recently, I think, built the Compass or the Cherokee, so the smaller Jeep line. And they wound up shuttering that, saying the plant was too old, needed some work, and they were going to shift EV production, which is what consumers wanted in 2023.
Give me more of those.
To Mexico, which
EVs
went over
in Mexico.
Yeah, it went over like a lead balloon. But I think in light of all this stuff, Stellantis is like, no, just kidding. We're actually gonna put some stuff up there and make it happen. There is a big UAW contingent up in that area. In fact, the big UAW building is right off Business 20, just a couple blocks away from the plant. So their last collective bargaining agreement, I guess, had them reopening it in 2027. I haven't heard anything about that facility since then. So I think it's interesting. Obviously tariffs a big deal. Talking about trying to reshore production in some way, shape, or form. And we heard there's some similar stuff going on with the Ram trucks. Stellantis is trying to bring some of that stuff back from Canada. I believe a lot of those are built up in Windsor, Ontario. So they're trying to find ways to bring more of that stuff back to the U.S. for a multitude of reasons, but I think it's political right now. I don't know. We'll see. Anything happens at Belvedere, I'm a fan of because, again, I like me some assembly lines here in the U.S.
You do. You're all about them. I love it.
I'm a nerd.
Especially old Chrysler stuff. You were all about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so, dude, we haven't done this one in forever.
I think we have to dust this off. And we were trying to figure out before the show when the last time we did this segment was.
And I call error on your document.
Okay.
I mean, we could get the Throwin Wrenches data processing team on this, but what was your number? What did you figure out?
I want to say it was episode 60 was the last time we referenced this particular segment, but I could be wrong.
There's no way it's been 41 episodes. There's no way.
Okay. No possible way.
All right, but we will do some post-episode research. We won't correct it on this episode, but I will call Daryl Scott a liar on episode 102.
All right. We'll get our fact-checking team on it.
Well, Gabe's got you covered here.
It's time for your Moment of Musk.
Oh, yeah. It's been a long time. The Atlantic writer. Now, Atlantic is a suspect publication, but they're going after Elon Musk. Elon Musk could have 100 or more children, definitely more than 14. That's from Stephanie Kalohi, as she wrote on April 26. Elon Musk is known to have at least 14 children, but the real number could be much higher than that, said Elizabeth Brunig. She said on the Sandy podcast interview that she shared on Friday, I believe he has 14 known children, but people I've spoke to at the Wall Street Journal for the expose of his childbearing habits suggest the number might be much higher, she said. I've heard people estimate it at 100 or more, Brunig said, is the author of the piece, The Harem of Elon Musk. Comertra jumped in and added, the reason we don't know about all these children and the women is because his baby mama signed NDAs, and he's very lawyered up, and he's very litigious, and he doesn't suit them if it does suit them to speak. Anyway, Elon Musk pays the mothers of these children a lot of money to stay silent. St. Clair reportedly received $15 million and $100,000 a month living stipend to keep the new birth of her child quiet, Brunig added. Holy smokes, man.
There's a lot there.
There is.
And that?
Right here.
That was your Moment of Musk.
That's a good rap.
It's been a long time. I'm sorry I was very rusty on that.
No, hey, that's fine.
It was clumsy, and you know what?
Well, we haven't... Here's the thing. There's been so much Musk news in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Or however many. And none of it's really related to automobiles.
Yeah, it's not.
So when we started this we started our humble podcast.
Yeah. Oh, he was always doing something with cars. It was always cars. And then sometimes it will have the Lost in Space theme because Mars,
Neuralink.
Something crazy.
Yeah. And it was just like, oh, this guy's fun. Well, now it's just
it's just weird.
There's a lot. There's a lot there.
I said something the other day, and I don't think I said on the show. It was like he's Ben Franklining himself across the United States. I mean, Ben Franklin have like 100 kids or something.
Yeah.
I mean, he's throwing his sperm all over the place, and I think that's kind of what Elon's doing here.
Childbearing habits. I've got a lot of habits. I know you have some habits.
Yeah.
Are any of them childbearing?
No, I would think the woman would be on the childbearing side.
I would think so too.
Yeah. I could be on the spawning,
Yeah, there's that.
Now, I heard something like the other day, like even though he may have some of these kids, he may not have had sex with the women or something like that. Like they're in vitro, but that doesn't seem like his style.
I don't know.
He said,
we'll have to read the article.
Yeah.
What is it? Vanity Fair? No, what article
it was
was
Salon. Was it Salon or the Atlantic? Sorry.
Things. I'll take articles and publications I do not subscribe to for 500, please.
Exactly.
When's the last time anybody's read the Atlantic, by the way?
I think...
Did you get a cup of Nespresso?
No, sometimes if there's like a headline somewhere that's interesting, I'll read it. But other than that... No.
I need to learn how to read. One of these days, I'll figure that out.
Yeah.
All right. Towards the waning hours of our show, if we pivot away from the news of the day, automotive hysteria and hijinks and hilarity, we finally get to this segment, which many of you say is your favorite segment, and, well, fancy that. It is our favorite segment, too.
Absolutely.
Eric, this is our Cars of the Week segment, where we virtually take our millions and billions of dollars in our bank accounts.
Mental currency.
In mental currency. We peruse the latest automotive offerings from everything on eBay to bringatrailer.com to... Lord knows where we find these things. And we say, hey, I'd like to have one of these. And a lot of the times we'll show our better halves, which you got to meet in episode 100.
Yeah.
And we'll show it to them and say, hey, what do you think about this? And most of the time we'll get a thumbs up emoji or thumbs down emoji or a real life frowny face.
You get emojis. I don't even get that.
I get an IRL frowny face sometimes. And a head shake that says, no.
IRL, in real life.
Yeah. So the Cars of the Week segment, Eric threw his together because he's a late bloomer. It took him a while to find a valid pick here. But you have a phenomenal pick because it's very on brand, and it's also very outside your comfort zone.
It's a little bit.
I like this. Eric, what the hell did you pick this week?
What the hell did I pick?
Yes. It's behind a velvet rope.
Yes, it is behind a velvet rope. And it's in Hollywood, Florida. I think everything in Hollywood, Florida comes behind a velvet rope. I found a 2002 Lexus IS 300. This is one of the first, actually maybe the first and last, when Toyota decided to bring some of their cool cars overseas with just rear-wheel drive. Of course, the Lexus models were all like big and bulky, like the 400 models and the 300s. But this little, and I think in 2001 was the first edition of the IS, had the little 3-liter engine. The car is actually petite. When you get up close to it, the rear seat has no space. It's like the four doors are there just to save you some insurance money. This car is small and nimble. There's one sitting in Hollywood, Florida. I found it on cargurus.com. It was $89.95. The reason I was attracted to this car, Daryl, and everybody will know this when they watch the show notes later, this thing is canary yellow.
It's out there.
Yeah, so when Lexus dropped this car, this yellow color was like, wait a second, you could buy a Celica GT back in the 90s with a yellow color. You could buy, I think there may have been an MR2.
But that same
second gen, maybe in that yellow color, but it was exceedingly rare. But to come out with a 4-door, little hot manual transmission IS with this yellow color, pretty cool. So I found this car in Car Gurus. It's $89.95. There's just a big write up here about everything's well equipped. It's got 75 service records. It's got the 3-liter V6, remote entry, power windows, power locks, blah 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 blah. They're originally asking $99.95. Now, this is classic Toyota ownership here, because how many miles would you expect on a car? A 2002 Lexus for $89.95.
Yeah.
If this were a 2002 Chevy Cavalier or a Chevy or a Ford
Cobalt
Taurus,
SS
I mean, these cars are worth nothing, right? But it's a Lexus IS. This car has 236,000 miles on it, which I would say to you is a testament that this car has been driven a lot. So that means it's probably in pretty good maintenance, right? If it had 50,000 miles on it, there'd probably be more suspect that there's problems with this car.
Well, not only that, but the nature of these cars. A nice sports sedan, the 2JZ 3-liter with a stick in it. They weren't driven.
I think this would be a 1JZ.
1JZ?
I think so, yeah.
So these things weren't driven lightly or gingerly, as one would put it. They were probably driven aggressively most of its life, and especially by the owner's, third owner.
You couldn't get super aggressive. I mean, the 3-liter was okay. It wasn't like super fast, But you could still have some fun in the turns of this car.
Yeah, it'd be a great first of all, for a daily
Oh, my God.
commuter down in
yeah.
South Florida with traffic, this thing would be perfect. You just zip in and out. And you got enough torque with that 6 where you probably...
Well, I have one question mark for this car.
Yeah, what's that?
I don't know if it's a stick or an automatic.
Oh, did they put autos in them? I guess they would have.
Yeah, it's very possible this could be an automatic. And I may just totally ditch this car. I may have bought this car in my mind and driven to Hollywood, Florida, and told Angela we're just going to fly down there maybe and just drive it back. We may have gotten stranded somewhere around St. Augustine or something like that because we were going to drive up 95.
Yeah.
But now that whole dream in my head might be vaporizing.
Burst your bubble. You know what, though? Here's the thing. I know we railed on Volkswagen for not offering the manual.
It's an automatic transmission.
Are you serious?
It is.
I'm sorry. He's seriously...
Where's the wah wah wah?
It's on page 3 of the sound effects. There you go. Do you need a paper bag? Are you hyperventilating? Oh, there he is. I'm sorry.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Is it?
That's why.
Could you make it work?
No, I don't think I can.
Not even with the little paddle shifter.
I
shifter?
don't think I can do that, Daryl.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I just had a great road trip with my wife.
Yeah.
In my head, and then.
Well, I mean, you picked it.
I'm over it.
This is your pick.
I'm over it.
So
no, I'm ashamed of myself.
You're going to show yourself out of your own house. I'll let myself.
I don't even know if I can sit through your car of the week, Daryl. I'm so upset with myself. I'm going upstairs. We'll go to bed.
All right. Good night. No, seriously though, solid pick.
I could deal with the automatic. But seriously, this car would be twice as fun.
Yeah,
and it would definitely be worth the price of $9,000 with a stick shift.
I got to ask. I was not super familiar with the Toyota, the JDM heritage of these vehicles. In Japan, they were Toyota Altezas, right?
Maybe. I don't remember the name of them. Yeah.
I think that's where, so these were one of the first cars I saw the clear taillights.
Okay.
Which for a while were called Alteza or Alteza lights. Somebody out there can correct me. And I'm like, I thought those were aftermarket. No, they came from the factory like that. And then it was like everybody wanted those taillights on their normal, regular cars. So you saw Dodge Neons with these lights on them. Or like people would swap them onto Mustangs. You're like, that looks goofy. It looks right on this car.
Yeah.
And I think that's because they came from the factory that way. It blended right in. Guy down the street from me had one for a while, and he would rip up and down the street. And I thought, well, that's a pretty cool car.
I like the fact that the taillights look like a mini GS.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were cool cars. I did not like the ones that replaced this, whatever that next generation. I don't think they had the same panache.
They went to the V6 later on in them, and so I actually have an IS in the shop right now. We're doing an overhaul in the engine because they had a problem with some of the valves. And,
like a 3.5, like a
2.5.
2.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, yeah, it's not the same thing. And this car is very petite. That's the thing. When you get up close to it,
yeah,
you realize how small it is. The newer ISs, I don't know what the wheelbase change was, what the body length change was. It's substantially larger than this. These cars were small.
They were smaller because they're probably for that that other overseas market.
Yeah.
And they also did. You told me this. I think we saw one at a show one time or a cruise-in. They had a wagon variant for like a year.
Yeah, they did.
Right.
Yeah,
super low production.
Yeah. And actually, Marcus Brockett had one. He took it over to the Pekin airport when we did autocross there.
Oh, really?
And he jacked up the exhaust, as you expect Marcus to do.
Yeah,
It was either silver or white, but it was a wagon. And I fell in love with the wagon. We were in Europe years ago, and we were out in the Cotswolds, and somebody had one of those in a silver wagon. I'm like, that car is so hot. And my wife is like, just like every other time I'm out of the country or out of town, I'm like seeing something cool. It's like, what are you so fascinated with? I'm like, look at that. That car doesn't exist in the United States.
Yeah, super hard to find. It might have been Brockett's. It might have been at a Friday Night Lights or something.
Might have been a long time ago.
Yeah, because I'd never seen one in real life. No, great pick, man. Just put a 5-speed or 6-speed in it.
And I would drive it for fun, but I definitely wouldn't. If that car were to roll into the store as a trade-in, even in any color, white, black, silver, and has stick shift, I would probably just tell Angela, I'm buying this car. It would be one of those deals.
If the price is right.
Yeah, it wouldn't even matter. I just would be like, it's not going to the auction. It's not going to the lot. I'm going to buy that. So
yeah.
That's what I used to do years ago.
It's a crime of opportunity at that point.
It is.
Like, hey, this is a good deal.
Yeah. So I went yellow.
Yeah.
And you have gone, I mean, we're like the Packers this week. You've gone green.
Yeah.
But I'm
We
not
have-
green with envy, I'll tell you that.
No, this is a different choice. This is a little odd, but also roughly the same price. We're within $50 of each other's picks this week. I chose another less sporty sedan, but a four-door sedan from 1948 in the beautiful town just south of here of Emden,
No
Illinois.
way, look at that.
Yeah. There is a gentleman selling a really nicely restored original 1948 Kaiser custom sedan. And for those of you who are going, what the hell's a Kaiser?
I'm like, is that a Plymouth? Is that a Ford? What is a Kaiser?
It is a product of the Kaiser Fraser Corporation, which was, if anybody remembers the name Henry J. Kaiser.
No.
Okay. How about Kaiser Permanente Healthcare?
No.
Okay. All right. Some of our listeners of the West Coast might have keyed into one or two of those. Henry J. Kaiser was a big industrialist, made ships, made a lot of money during the war effort, and then decided that, hey, you know what people are going to need after this whole World War II thing settles down?
Yeah.
Houses and cars.
Car of the people.
Yeah. So he wound up using his connections to get steel. He might have had a lot of leftover steel and other contracts within the manufacturing industry. He wound up basically designing one of the first all new post-war vehicle designs and was able to get it to market pretty quickly. And so he did that. And in 1947, the Kaiser rolled out, and then I think the Fraser was pretty much the same car, but with like some more trim on it. And they were, as my friend Greg calls them, kind of, homely pedestrian cars. Nothing fancy, but they were brand new. They had a nice 6-cylinder, 3-speed, and they were affordable, and they looked nice and clean and fresh. And it wasn't until 1949 that Ford and GM and some of the other manufacturers started to retool their sheet metal and get new products out there. The 46, 7, and 8 cars that a lot of the big three made were basically 1941 models that they kind of just put some new hubcaps on and trim. And the consumers, they needed new vehicles, right? Cars didn't last that long. So when you had people running scrap drives and kind of hunkering down and getting through the war years with the same old beaters, by the mid-40s, if you needed a new car, you needed a new car badly because they were probably just physically worn out. So the Kaisers came along, and this thing is a really nice example. It's kind of a pretty springy green, like it is a beautiful car, and the pictures by this old farmhouse look great too. 6-cylinder, they were made not their own motor; they were actually made by Continental, which made a whole bunch of inline 6s for years. So nothing fancy, probably 90 or 100 horse tops. A lot of these cars did have overdrive, which this one does, and you can actually drive it at somewhat highway speed. I wouldn't do it for long. Nice original interior, and these are cars that you don't see show up at shows or at cruise nights anywhere, just because they only lasted up until 1955. They folded. They wound up selling to, I believe, American Motors or Nash at the time.
So, no, actually, I'm on Wikipedia.
Are you looking them up?
Yeah, dude, this story is great. And their logo is awesome with the buffalo or the bison on it.
Yeah.
But it looks like they eventually got in, they merged with Willys.
Yeah.
And they eventually became part of Jeep.
Kaiser Jeeps.
Yeah.
So a lot of the Vietnam-era Jeeps, the big M7, blah, 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 the cool early Gladiators, the Jeep Wagoneer, that was all done under Kaiser Jeep. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they sold to AMC and then sold to Chrysler. So really interesting snapshot of post-World War II industrialist.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And there is some sort of... The Henry J. Kaiser Foundation later became this big, almost like Carnegie Foundation, kind of like a big, supporter of the arts and philanthropic efforts. And then there's a spinoff that got into healthcare, Kaiser Permanente Healthcare out in California, which is a huge healthcare conglomerate. All because of that dude, Henry J. Kaiser, and his dreams and his ability to kind of just get stuff done. So I like it because it's an oddball car and it's cheap, and it would turn heads because it's unique.
Definitely.
But there's another, like, it's a history lesson, and I could be that long-winded gas bag at a show, like, let me tell you a story about the Liberty ships of World War II. I'm only 45, but I pretend to be 90 sometimes. It's kind of fun.
But this also lends itself back. I mean, let's go back and talk about the SLATE.
Yeah.
We're talking about a car that maybe doesn't have any kind of resources when it comes to service and stuff like that. You buy something like this Kaiser.
Yeah.
What do you do when something breaks or goes out? I assume there's a lot of universal parts and engines and wheel bearings, all that stuff. But
Yeah.
do you find yourself trying to find things that are no longer in existence?
Yeah, some of the trim. The nice thing, the car
Well, not trim. I'm talking about because
mechanical stuff.
I understand all trim and all cars that ancient. It's
Yeah.
quite hard to get. But
The
let's just say water pump or a crank bearing or something goes out. I mean,
Yeah.
is there? Can you get stuff?
You can. The interesting thing about this and what makes this attractive to me and kind of the other gearheads that still keep them running is Continental made a lot of industrial motors. So things in like generators, things in irrigation pumps. And they made it for a long time. They really didn't change it. So it's an old stalwart flathead. It's pretty much under the hood. If you look at it, it's like a late 20s car. It's very utilitarian. And I think they ran, I have to Google Continental Motors, but they ran for quite a while. So you can still get parts.
Okay.
And I think a lot of the stuff is infinitely rebuildable. I follow a guy named, his YouTube channel is Cold War Motors. He took a 47 Frazier, which is one of these sisters cars, and dug it out of a farm field and got it running. And it was a daily driver for like 5 years. Fantastic. And it just proved that you can infinitely rebuild these things as long as they're not crashed and rusted out. It's probably not great. It's probably not fun to drive.
Yeah.
But it's a relic of that bygone era where if you had to get something, if you needed something done, that thing was always going to start in cold weather. It would take you as far as you needed to go. Just keep gas and oil in the thing, keep coolant in the radiator, and it'll limp along. The downside to having something like this is you don't have that support network. And that support network gets smaller and smaller as like the 50 guys that are in the Kaiser Club who know those cars like the back of their hand. Well, next year it's 45.
Yeah.
And the next year it's 30. And they're all aging.
Yeah.
And that's another one of those things where you talk about, the graying of certain hobbies, certain passions, interests, the off-road stuff that you go to. Yeah, this year it's big. Next year it's a little smaller. And unless you're recruiting and actively saying like, hey, this is cool.
Yeah.
To me, if I was a young hobbyist and I had $10,000 to spend on a fun old car, I wanted to get into the old car hobby. You aren't buying anything for $10,000 that's a muscle car, that's a Mustang, that's a Camaro, that's a 57 Chevy. You're buying a quarter panel on a 57 Chevy. Those cars are out of touch, and they have been for a long time. $8,900, I got a car that I can polish up, take to a show, and go get ice cream with my wife and kids or whatever it is, and have a great time. And that's what I like. I like seeing things like Corvairs or like old Carmen Gias. Anything that's out there that isn't super, super, super desirable that you can get in and have a lot of fun with. And I think that these type of cars, if you can get them now and they're restored and they run and they drive, they're easy to maintain and keep them that way for the rest of their life, for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but I think that comes down to guys who are willing to put their elbow grease into it, right?
Yeah, but the elbow grease...
A lot of people who get into the hobby now, they want the Instagram lifestyle where they get the classic car, but
Right.
they don't realize how much they're going to have to do, right?
But this one's done.
I get
This is
that,
maintained.
but you could drive tomorrow. You could drive it from Emden to Peoria, and it could spring a leak somewhere.
Yeah, but that's not a big deal. The trouble is guys that have cars that need a complete restoration, and they're trying to sell it for $6,500.
Okay, so you're saying this one in its condition, it makes it optimal.
I think it is. I
Okay.
think it is. Because if you were to get a comparable, let's say a 48 Chevy, in that condition, $20,000.
Oh, wow.
It's stupid. Because that's what people know. That's what's desirable.
Yeah.
If you take that to a show, I had one, I had 3 of them. Nobody had a Kaiser.
Yeah.
So to me, the oddball, things like those, I don't know. I'm weird in that respect, I think, but to me, that's what makes that attractive. And the fact that you can get in that hobby, the days of somebody doing a frame-off restoration, like somebody probably did on that car in like the late 60s, those are over. I don't think, because there's not, to paint that car is $10,000.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just not worth that work. So, I don't know. We'll see. I showed it to Sarah. I said, what about that? It's pretty. It's like,
I mean, it's a hell of a deal and it's so close.
right. You don't have to ship it.
I mean, we get back to this like Pokemon, gotta collect them all, right? I would, it'd be fascinating. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you are an expert in this field at this vintage of car, but it would be fun to sit down with somebody who's kind of I'm not a futurist totally, but I do look ahead a lot in my industry. But I would love to talk to a futurist about classic cars.
Yeah.
And see where these go. Where does the market go on 40s cars.
Exactly. Well, Barrett Jackson wrapped, I forget which one it was, last week that wrapped, and a lot of my car buddies, especially the younger guys, 40s and 50s cars are plummeting.
Yeah, I would imagine they
the
are.
values. I mean, one of the cheapest cars that sold at auction, and it was a rough original, but it was nice, restorable, presentable. It was like a 47 Chrysler sold for like $1,400. I'm like, that's crazy. Even the nice stuff, 68 Plymouth GTX Hemi 4-speed B5 Blue Coupe, which checks all the boxes for what the muscle car guys want, $70,000. Probably 5 years ago, that was a 6-figure car.
Yeah.
60 convertible Imperial, every nut and bolt, rotisserie restoration, beautiful car, sold for like $56,000. That was a $100,000 car a couple of years ago. So I don't know where the market is going. But I don't think it's going up anytime soon.
No, I don't think it ever will. I think this Kaiser, I mean, I think it's going to be like the Model T to some people eventually.
Exactly.
And frankly, it just takes a lot of space, and it takes a lot of maintenance just even to hold this car in stasis, to mothball it.
Right.
Takes money. It takes time and it takes space. And this next generation doesn't have the luxury of the space that the boomers and the greatest generation.
No.
You think, apartments and all that, they'll never have a place to put these cars.
Look at some of the space places like cities in America where space is a premium. If a couple's lucky enough to get a house and they got a little tiny one-car garage in an alley behind them, they're not using that as a garage. They're converting it to an office, to a lounge, to a spare, you don't even say mother-in-law suite, but like a guest house, because it's square footage, and they're not going to let something sit in there that really doesn't need to sit in there.
No.
The amount of younger people I've seen that have basically, I like cars, they're cool, but I never want to have that expense.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing expense. And that's unfortunate because it is a cool hobby, but to your point, I think everything's changing. Tastes are changing. It will always be cool to look at, but they're not going to be drivable, enjoyable cars that you can actually do something with. I think we have a very narrow window of time. I think probably the next 10 to 15 years where we can still get out and enjoy this kind of stuff, and then it's going to fade off into the sunset. Yeah.
I think the biggest problem I have with some of this, and I love the JDM stuff, but I think it's going to become a bit disposable. And we're going to have wasted some of these great American cars by people bringing a bunch of Japanese stuff in or German stuff in, and I get it. It's all taste. It's all flavor.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of these cars we're wasting away in the background, right?
Yeah. And the downside is you can drive those newer cars on the freeway. You can take a 3-hour road trip somewhere. You can go to a meet and enjoy it and then come home in air-conditioned comfort. You can't do that in these.
No.
And that's not appealing to a lot of people. I don't care because I grew up driving pieces of crap, so it doesn't matter to me. And I like to experience the open road as God intended. Yeah. But even last week, driving back from Pontiac, I took old Route 66 between Chenoa and Pontiac, and I drove through Lexington on the way home. And
my old stomping grounds.
I had a great time. Yeah, probably not far from where you grew up. But I'll tell you what, Route 66, which is celebrating 100 years next year, it's in terrible shape.
Oh, yeah. It's now a bike path for like small segments of it.
And that's what I didn't see a lot of traffic on there. I saw a lot of bicyclists, which is great, but it's not what it was.
Yeah, I at least it's being preserved in some ways. But realistically, when you think about a road that's 100 years old,
it served its purpose.
It did. Yeah. And the fact that it's even being recognized is really the effort of so many local people.
Yeah.
Think about all these car clubs that have made that happen.
Yeah.
Because realistically, the state could have folded that thing under, bulldozed it, God knows what. So to see that it's being recognized, thank God for that.
Sorry. It could be a solar farm. Could be worse.
But give it time. Give it time.
I'm going to get him riled up before. Right as we're wrapping up, I'm going to get Eric's blood
Don't get me started.
Up.
Did you see it? Did you see I had my name published in the NPR article this last week?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I read your quote, too.
Yeah.
So.
I said, we're under duress.
Under duress.
I pulled out my vocabulary word, word of the day calendar.
It's Reader's Digest. There's another reference for you youngsters. You got to look that up. No, hey, this has been fun.
Yeah, 2 hours, buddy.
Yeah.
2 hours. We did it. It's like a marathon show.
We did.
Yeah, fist bump going on right here. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be traveling. Then you're going to be traveling. We'll reconvene here maybe in June.
I'm hoping to talk. Are you getting a rental car when you're overseas?
No.
Wimp.
I'm scared and nervous about doing things overseas.
Yeah.
No, I don't. You're renting a vehicle?
Heck yeah.
Do they drive in the? Yeah, they
It
drive.
is actually much easier. And I'm going to get the stick shift this time.
Okay.
The last couple times I've been in Europe, I've been like, I don't want to get a manual because I got too much going on. But
Can
this
you
time,
request a diesel?
well, I've got a diesel a couple times when I've
That's
been
kinda
over.
fun.
I don't know if Iceland's big on diesels though. So,
Yeah, maybe not.
yeah.
Well, yeah, you'll have to take plenty of pictures and keep us all posted. And I know that everybody always appreciates following you at Planet Stall.
Oh,
on
I
your
appreciate
Instagram.
that.
Give you
Well,
a little shout out.
Now, what we really want to know is, do you have a pick for Eurovision? Do you guys have a team you're going in for? That's all anybody really
Sarah
wants to know.
does. I need to familiarize myself with what's out there. There's a song about macchiatos, and I think it's not Italian. I don't know what country it is. But
Blasphemy.
It's hilarious. And
Are they mocking the Italians?
No. It's,
Mocking with their macchiato?
It's just a sad song though.
Oh.
And Sarah's very I don't know. She's in her emo phase. But she's like, oh, it's my favorite song. And I'm like, it's all minor key. It's all like, macchiato, whatever. I'll share
Okay,
it.
all right. Well, everybody wants to know what your pick is. Kind of like Derby Day. I'd love to know, right now, May 7th, who you picking right now to win this thing?
Okay. I'll put some. It's not on FanDuel. I don't think you can bet on the Eurovision contest.
I'll bet you can.
Yeah, probably could.
All right. So, episode 101. We got 2 hours in. We knew we were going to go long. We appreciate you hanging in here with us this long. We will see you in probably about a month, if I had to guess, just because of all the stuff we got going on. But thanks again for all the support. If there's anything you want to see on future shows, some segments you really like and you want us to bring back, we probably need to do a race daily kill, if I had to guess.
Ooh, it's been a while for that.
Yeah. Or would you rather? That's a new episode issue. Maybe we'll do that. We'll see.
Yeah, a little hypothetical situation.
Yes,
I like
exactly. Yeah. We got some ideas. So if you got anything you want to share with us, hit us up at info@throwinwrenches.com. You can certainly follow along on the Instagrams, me at Planet Stall or Daryl at Throwin Wrenches. We'll share our trips there. And again, thank you so much for all the support.
Later.
Bye.